one God, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Savage. Thank you. All right, we will now have the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go on, Mr. Foles.
Notice was provided in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 to the Burlington County Times, Trenton Times, and the Philadelphia Inquirer stating the date, time, place, and the agenda to the extent it was known. Additionally, notice was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, and it was posted on the website and on the bulletin board.
Very much. Mr. Harris, we can go right into your municipal update.
Good evening. We are online now, yes.
I apologize to the people online. We had some technical difficulties. So far, we just had roll call and prayer and a flag salute and a compliance statement. So we're just now getting into the manager's municipal updates.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and council members, members of the public. Our full report for the month of September has been sent to you individually, and it is available online for the residents' viewing pleasure. But I'm just going to highlight some things out of that report, and additionally that have been transpiring here in Willingboro. As always, we start off with our finances. The finance report outlines revenues that were generated in September with an accumulative total as of September 23rd, 2024, totaling $2,008,703.95. It also reflects a summary of expenditures that include employee salaries, wages, health insurance, bonds, payments totaling $3,795,349, and the monthly allotment to the Board of Education for $3,278,118 was dispersed. Our public safety police department, currently there are 71 sworn officers. On January 1st, 2024, police licensing was put into effect for all New Jersey police officers. This year, 20 Willingboro officers were required to be renewed for their licenses, and all 20 were renewed without any issue. During September, we yielded fewer calls for service than we did in August. Our patrol division answered 2,299 calls for service, resulting in 59 summonses and 31 arrests. Our newly formed traffic division handled 412 incidents. This resulting in 105 summonses, 7 impounds, and 3 arrests. And the police handled 70 ordinance violations. For the month of August, they issued 26 summonses in relation to that, and there was 1 impounded vehicle. Our fire and EMS department had a very busy weekend supporting our neighboring communities with a very significant house fire and aiding in an accident on the where New Jersey Transit train was involved in an accident in Mansfield Township, resulting unfortunately in 1 death and several injuries on the Riverline train, which had struck a tree that had fallen on the tracks. So we thank our fire department and EMS being ready, willing, and able to support our neighboring community and the state overall in times of need. Our DPW during the month of September inspected 505 catch basins. They cleaned 422 grates. Our street sweeper collected 55.6 cubic yards of materials during sweeping operations for the month. DPW collected 48 30-gallon trash bags off of our main roads and 65 30-gallon trash bags of material collected from our parks. They addressed 7 potholes that were lingering and have been doing wonderful work replacing benches and repairing the restrooms at Broydell Park, just to highlight a few of the activities. The last time we met, we had just had our Clean Communities cleanup, and I really didn't have any statistics as to the volume of material that was collected. I'm just going to ask Mr. Gaines really quick to highlight some of those numbers very quickly.
Good evening.
This year, we had a record high. First time we've ever had over 100 participants in our cleanup. So, thank you all of our residents that actually participated in the cleanup. We spent 4 hours, covering 2 miles of land throughout township. And then also we had another break-in this year. Comes to accumulated trash, 50-gallon bags of trash, and we collected 102 bags of trash this year. Well, various locations in town. Among the 102 bags of trash, we collected 5 bags of plastic and recycled materials, 3 piles of brush, 3 tires with rims, 1 55-gallon drum, and 1 ice cooler that was actually able to land up in our depot. This year we actually did a little thing different. This year we actually gave out dog signs. It's a pick up after your dog. That was a hit. Every resident that actually participated or any program actually got a sign. And I encourage all residents in Willingboro, if you do want a sign, you can always come to the depot during the depot hours. Thursdays between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. On Fridays, 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and on Saturdays, 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. This year we had another partnership with Chick-fil-A. This one was different this year. We partnered last year with Arlington. This year we partnered with Delran. They gave us 100 Chick-fil-A sandwiches that we gave out to the public. And we also had 4 giveaways that were rifled off and that were won by residents of town. 1 trash recycling container, 1 rain catch barrel, 1 clean electric vacuum, and my favorite was a household food composting machine, which was pretty much a hit. With all that being said, this was a success, and every single year that we're having this program, this is bigger, better, more participants and residents in town. So I believe this program is going to be bigger next spring. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Gaines, who was our Clean Communities Coordinator, as we all collectively put our energies and efforts together to keep Willingboro clean. To continue on with the report, our inspections department completed 1,170 inspections. They issued 543 violations, 42 summonses, and collected $113,000 in revenue for the month. Our zoning department has received a request for interpretation proposal. The Julie's Authentic Mexican Cuisine is looking to relocate their business from 320 Beverly Rancocas to 621 Beverly Rancocas Road. The application was approved. However, there have been no certificate of occupancy applications or inspections have not been completed as of yet to date. Also, on another note, our Starbucks is looking to open sometime in the month of November, and we will be coordinating a ribbon cutting event with them as well. Our Community Affairs Department, there's been an uptick in the homeless population here in Willingboro due to residents not being able to afford rents or mortgages or their tax obligations. If anyone is requiring referrals, there are people in our Community Affairs Office and the library who may be able to point you to support services or emergency housing. And if anyone knows anyone in need or more information, they can contact our senior center or the library for further assistance. Also, there are programs that can help residents who qualify keep their heat on during the winter months, and information on those services are also available in our community affairs offices and the library, and if anyone needs assistance in filling out those applications. I'm going to ask Ms. Jackson if she would come at this time and give a summary of the activities that are going on in Willingboro for the month of October into November.
Good evening.
All those assembled. Good to see everyone. So for the month of, for the remaining weeks in October, on Friday, we will have our 13th anniversary of our open mic night. This year's theme is homecoming, so we will have a challenge between our Willingboro High School and Kennedy High School alone. To come rep your class and join us for the festivities. The doors open at 6:30 p.m. and that will be at the evening. On Saturday, the 19th, it will be the annual indoor fall yard sale. That's from 8:30 to 2 at Kennedy Center. We encourage you to come on Saturday. Somebody's tossed away, maybe your treasure. I'm not gonna say trash. On Saturday, October 26th, will be a busy day in our township. We're going to kick off the morning. Excited about unveiling our township's first inclusive playground. That will be at Royal Park. The ribbon cutting will begin at 10 a.m. Include a DJ, face painting, giveaways for the kids, and remarks from our township officials. And we do invite everybody to join us for that milestone in our recreation and parks community. And then on that same day from 10 to 2 will be our annual Take Back Day that's dedicated to encouraging residents to clean out their medicine cabinets and discarding unused or unneeded medication. That will be from 10 to 2 also here. So, and closing out the day will be our annual trunk or treat. That will be from 2 to 4, and that will be at the Kennedy Center. So we invite everybody to join us. There is still an opportunity if you want to volunteer or be a trunkster for that event. You can do that. And the deadline to respond is Monday, October 21st. And just to close out, the surveys for the township signs and Performing Arts Center are still available. The sign survey will conclude on Thursday, and then the WPAC survey will wrap up at the end of this month. And then always, if you have any questions or need more information, you can follow us on social media, YouTube, Willingboro Connect, and our Willingboro. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Jackson. And generally, on October 2nd, the County of Burlington and Willingboro DPW worked very closely together to clear some debris from our manholes number 3036, 3039, and 3040. I was able to share some of the photos with the council members of the material that was removed from those manholes. And the county is going to go ahead and continue to jet back those lines. It was just a massive amount of silt and debris buildup in the storm drains. I could equate it to like a blocked artery and somebody being ready to have a massive heart attack. That's how bad they were. But we really believe that once these pipes were cleared, that will allow the water to properly flow. Relieving the flooding issues over on Baldwin Avenue and over at Babbitt Lane. So we're going to continue monitoring them as well. At the previous council meeting, the council did authorize the administration to purchase 12 digital radar signs that we are looking to install at various locations throughout Willingboro. This was done in response to multiple complaints from residents about speeding on different roads in different areas in the community. Unfortunately, it's impossible to have police officers posted in every street around the town, to address excessive speeding. We have utilized our mobile signage, but according to various reports received, radar speed signs are a very effective way to calm traffic and reduce speeding in residential areas, school zones, and other places where safety is a concern. And these signs are equipped with a radar sensor that measures the speed of approaching vehicles, displays the speed limit, and alerts drivers if they are driving above the speed limit, as well as collect data as to when violations are mostly occurring, which will enable us to help deploy our traffic division, determine when and where more stringent enforcement applications would be practical. So those signs should be coming into the township relatively soon, and we will be looking to install them at various locations throughout the township. Phase 2 of our 2023 road placement program is open for bid. The bid period will be open or will close on October 23rd. We are looking to do Barrington Lane, Eastbrook Lane, Elder Lane, Globe Lane, Holbrook Lane, Hopkins Lane, Main Street, which is a little tiny strip of road behind the East Ridge Shopping Plaza, Mayfair Circle, Messenger Lane, Pine Street, and Sheffield Drive. In conjunction with that, PSC&G will begin paving soon the following roads as part of its gas line replacement program. When we did our first phase of our road project, PSC&G got in and did what they needed to do before we went and paved the streets, so they would not come back and dig them up to go ahead and move forward with their project. Because they were able to do this before, they took the monies that they would have spent repaving those portions and gave a credit back to the township. And because of that, they're going to pave curb to curb the additional roads that they have been working on as well, which is a good, one hand washes the other. So they're going to be paving Magnet Lane, Hazelwood Lane, Hazelwood Circle, Harris Lane, Hawkins Lane, Niagara Lane, Mandolin Lane, and Millbrook. So when you collectively think about the roads that we have done in Willingboro, just this year, there will be a total of 40 roads that will have been paved or will be paved in 2024. And along with that, the Eagle Lane Drainage Project is also out to bid. Work will soon begin on our 2024 sidewalk replacement. We will begin replacing 8,346 square feet of sidewalks throughout the township. And along with the road replacement projects that I just mentioned, they also did have a sidewalk component in certain areas along those streets. And as a final note, our cleaning contract for 2025 will be going out for bidding soon. And that's all the things that I have to report to you on this evening.
Does any council member have anything for Mr. Harris? Question? Councilwoman Whitfield?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Harris, for your report. I'm always glad to hear the progress of the township. I did just have a couple questions on some of the things that you mentioned. One was in regards to DPW. The corner trash cans that we had discussed a few meetings ago, I just wanted to know where we were in that process. I know they were ordered, but I don't know if they've come in yet and when they will be installed.
So the trash cans have been ordered. They are a few weeks out from delivery, but DPW has identified the locations for those can placements, and they have begun to install the concrete footing at each of those locations. So when the cans do come, they will be ready to install into place.
Oh, great. Glad to hear that. And then lastly, your talk of the sidewalk replacements. I'm not sure if it's our responsibility, but I know it's a county road. The sidewalk on Veterans Parkway, right outside of the JFK track, is in great disrepair. So if you can make sure to add that location to your repair list, that would be greatly appreciated.
And that is scheduled to be done, the sidewalk on Veterans in front of JFK as well.
Oh, perfect. You're already on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other? Councilwoman Perot?
Thank you for your report, Mr. Harris. I just have a concern and I guess a question for clarity of the roles and responsibilities of Public Works. Because to my understanding, Public Works positions is to clean up the community areas, the debris left behind from drivers, cut the grass, do the edging, water the grass, plant flowers. There's been quite a large number of dollars spent on purchasing lawn signs and T-shirts and big signs, Clean Up Willingboro. And that's Public Works' job. So, and the job of the residents is to take care of their own property lawn. So if a resident's grass is overgrown, the inspection department comes out and gives them a citation. And at the time that Public Works comes out to cut their grass, they can get a bill. So why are you spending so much money and forcing the community to come out and clean up Willingboro when that's what Public Works' job is to do? In addition to the taxpayers pays Public Works, right? They pay Public Works to make sure Willingboro is clean. The sanitation department picks up Willingboro's trash, which we all know we're struggling with that because it's a one-day pickup. There's one trash bin. So whose idea was it to spend money, additional money, on lawn signs and T-shirts and ask the community to come out and do Public Works' job? Because at the end of the day, and I will close here, if that is the case, then honestly, everyone who came out to clean up Willingboro should receive a tax rebate for their property. So I have a huge issue with that. Can you please explain that?
So thank you, Councilwoman Prone. Just for clarity, we do not have a sanitation department. So we contract for our trash pickup, so Public Works doesn't technically pick up trash. However, when you are talking about the Clean Communities cleanup, that is a strictly volunteer basis where the community comes and volunteers to help keep their own community clean. Those monies are not those projects are not supported by taxpayer money. Those are grant monies that we receive from Clean Communities, expressly given to municipalities throughout New Jersey, specifically for those purposes, to buy trash cans, to buy recycling materials, to educate the public, to do anything that is related to clean communities. So although the money has been spent, those are not taxpayer dollars, those are state-funded grant dollars that are used to support the volunteer project of Clean Communities.
And what is Public Works' roles and responsibility?
Exactly as you laid them out, to
To clean up
cut the grass and to
for the
water the
community
lawn
areas.
and clean up the community, and they do all of that. I
And-
just reported that Public Works, the street sweeper collected 55.6 cubic yards of materials. Public Works collected 48 30-gallon trash bags off of our main roads. They collected 65 30-gallon trash bags of materials from our parks. They collect brush, they clean up the streets, they do a whole lot. So exactly what you said, Public Works does, Public Works does.
So what are the people picking up? If Public Works already picked up the trash, then what are the people picking up?
Well, Councilwoman Perone, I wish that once the trash was picked up, it stayed away. But Willingboro is a hotbed for litter. So yeah, the community comes by and picks up trash that other people leave on our streets.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Harris. If you can forward that information about the clean community so I can see where the money is going and that it's actually coming from a grant and not from our tax dollars. And I'd also like for Everett to also probably from Eusebia, just get me a bill list on everything that was paid out from Clean Community. So this way I can verify that what you're saying is actually true. Thank you.
And I might want to add for that is that the Clean Communities is not unique to Willingboro.
No.
This is done all across the state. It is all done across the country. I've been to plenty of mayor conferences where this is a big initiative because part of cleaning up, yes, the Public Works has the ultimate responsibility. However, it is incumbent upon each and every one of us to keep our community clean. We do have plenty of litter. People throw their stuff out every day. I see it on the street. So, I mean, it is okay. I think in residents that showed up, they want to be there. Nobody's forcing anybody to be there. But like Mr. Gaines was saying, it's growing every year because people are getting invigorated. They're getting excited about keeping their community clean. So I definitely applaud that initiative. But again, it's not just for the public. It's not unique to Willingboro. This is a grant that goes out across the state and across the country.
And
Thank
just
you.
for the record, during the summer months, we hired 2 Clean Community ambassadors who work 4 hours a day, just driving around, picking up trash on all of our streets. You may have seen them driving around in the cart with the little, which was also purchased by Clean Communities money, not taxpayer
That's all. I
dollars.
want to make sure it's not tax dollars. If
Yep.
it's coming from a grant, I love it. Great. So that's my question. If you said it's not, I just want to see a record of it. So if we can just get me that later, that'd be great. Thank you.
Mr. Falk, okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Harris, you had mentioned how many streets we cleaned up in 2024. What's the forecast? I'm sorry, it's not street repair, road repair. What's the forecast for 2025?
So I don't have a forecast for 2025 yet, outside of looking at the additional roads that we may need to work with PSC&G to repair. We're getting into the budget period, so we're going to see what our finances will allow us to accomplish in 2025. But I hope that we will be able to do as much as we were this year. But realistically, there are some other things that we have to take into consideration. We have to consider what we're going to do with Country Club Pool, Pennypacker Pool. We have some other initiatives that are underway that will need to be addressed as well. And although we made great strides in, our road projects will be ongoing and extensive continually.
And we're still in alignment with PSE&G and their dig up. We're kind of aligning ourselves with them and their schedule,
Yes,
and vice versa, I guess.
and vice versa.
Okay. Councilwoman Whitfield did mention about the sidewalks and the Kennedy, JFK, and veterans. That was very important. So thank you for bringing that up. But just in general, the sidewalks for all the children walking to all the schools, we just want to make sure they're cleared and safe
Yes.
for our kids walking to school. Anything else? Okay. Anything else
That was my report.
okay. You can begin resolution and ordinance.
People know don't call me on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, but no, there's always one. All righty. For your consideration this evening is ordinance number 2024, which is an introduction of an ordinance to improve municipal operations and efficiencies through departmental restructuring and amending Chapter 3, Article 10 of the Township Code relating to the Department of Police. After many conversations with the police department and our internal reviews, there has been a consensus to transition the police department back to a chief and reincorporate the public safety director in with our Office of Emergency Management. So it will be an OEM and public safety director. And then the police department will revert back to having a police chief. So that's what ordinance 24 is related to. Ordinance 25 is an ordinance amending and repealing Chapter 252, Section 9, which specifically is related to disorderly conduct. There are many activities that occur in Willingboro, and because our ordinances do not have very clearly defined disorderly conduct language, it's very difficult for the judge or the court to prosecute individuals or even knock down a more serious offense to something less if warranted. So we reviewed those ordinances. We had conversations with the court, the prosecutor, and our attorneys, and they crafted a more viable disorderly persons ordinance for the township. Ordinance for public hearing and final adoption is ordinance number 18, which is an ordinance amending ordinance 2021-11, setting forth the hours of operation for cannabis business underneath section 126-5 of the Township Code. Ordinance number 19 is an ordinance amending Chapter 356, Article 18, entitled Left Turn Prohibitions of the Code of Willingboro. This is prohibiting a left turn out of the high school onto JFK during certain periods of the day. Ordinance 20 is an ordinance establishing the working test period for Willingboro Township employees. Again, this just codifies civil service rules and requirements as an official policy in our employee manual. Ordinance 21 is an ordinance adopting a policy related to property and equipment reimbursement. Ordinance 22 is an ordinance amending the Township Code entitled Prohibited Conduct, and this one is specifically related to persons who put debris, grass clippings, leaves, and things like that in the curbs and along the sidewalks. And along with that is our commitment for us to keep our stuff clean as well after we cut the grass. And ordinance number 23 is an ordinance to amend the code, chapter 370, entitled Additional Regulations, by amending article specifying the placement of certain types of articles within persons' properties. For example, soccer goals and bounce houses and trampolines in the front yard. Those would be relegated to backyard activities. So that's kind of what ordinance 23 addresses. A resolution is being presented for your consideration is resolution number 240, which is a resolution to take all of the necessary steps to apply to the Burlington County Library Commission for the Willingboro Public Library to join the county library system. Resolution number 241 is a resolution supporting the relocation of the Willingboro Public Library to the Kennedy Center at 429 John F. Kennedy Way. Resolution number 251 is a resolution authorizing an increase to the not-to-exceed amount for Remington and Vernick Engineering for the provision of engineering services related to the design of the pickleball courts and the Jake Place Playground, which will be coming to Mill Creek Park. Resolution number 252 is a resolution authorizing refund of overpayment of taxes. Resolution number 253 authorizes the payment of bills. Resolution number 254 authorizes an increase to the not-to-exceed amount for Triad Associates for the provision of administrative services to the Township of Willingboro. Triad is the organization that handles our affordable housing for the township, and many may know or not know that the previous COA has been abolished, and now affordable housing is being relegated back to the Department of Community Affairs. Because of this transition, there's also been some changes to financial reporting requirements and things like that. So Triad, as well as our co-attorney, have been very busy the last few months dealing with these transitional operations on behalf of Willingboro Township. So we needed to increase the not to exceed to cover their additional unanticipated expenses. Resolution number 255 is a resolution authorizing an award of a fair and open contract to TC Landscape Services or Construction Group for emergency board up services for Willingboro Township. Whenever there is a fire or an instance where a house needs to be boarded up, this is the company that we have contracted or will be contracting with to perform those services after we went through a fair and open process to solicit bids for these services. Resolution number 256 is a resolution amending a contract vendor from Central Jersey Equipment LLC to Deere and Company for the purchase of ground equipment, specifically a sidearm mower and cab tractor. The council did approve this resolution at the last meeting, but because the name of the vendor was incorrectly listed in the resolution, we just needed to redo the resolution with the correct contractor's name, which is John Deere, Deere and Company. Resolution number 257 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a public donor agreement between Providence House and Willingboro Township for the year of 2024. The township does include a sum of money, $25,000 in its annual budget to support the Providence House. This is just the resolution to authorize the execution of that payment. Resolution number 258 is a resolution establishing a not-to-exceed amount for HVAC services provided during the 2024 contract year by Hutchinson Plumbing, Cooling, and LLC. Resolution number 259 is establishing a not-to-exceed amount for termite and pest control services provided by Eastern Termites and Pest Control. Resolution number 260 is establishing a not-to-exceed amount for fire alarm monitoring and inspection services for B Safe LLC. They're the primary company that monitors our fire alarm and equipment at the JFK Center. Resolution number 261 is increasing the not-to-exceed amount for Serenian Edwards Buzak and Nolan Inc. for the provision of affordable housing, or they are our co-attorney. Their services increased from 3,000 to 4,500, and we're just giving them the additional, or authorizing the additional 1,500 in compensation. Resolution number 262 is a resolution to increase the not-to-exceed amount for Mainline Commercial Pools Incorporated. They are the company that has been doing our pool openings and closings. This year, we were reliant upon them to supply us chlorine because of changes in rules and regulations. We were no longer to obtain them from the WMUA as we had done in the past. So that's just increasing their capacity to get paid for the services they provided. And finally, resolution number 263 is a resolution approving the Township of Willingboro to authorize a memorandum of agreement to partner with New Foundation to host an annual scholarship golf outing. And those are all of the items being presented to you for your consideration this evening.
Thank you. I'm going to open up the floor for public comment on agenda items only. Anything listed here, please state your name and address for the record. Public comment for agenda items only is now open. Good evening.
Marcus King, 135 Torrington Lane. Agenda item 24. With this change in improving the operation, is this going to be an increase to the township's budget? And also on agenda item 23, 24, 23, I get the having things in the front yard, but if a person gets an approval to have a block party and they shut down the street, does that limit them from having a bounce house on the front lawn? Just a question. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Don Shawless from the Friends of the Library. We're asking for a delay until March 2025 for resolutions 240 and 241. That's when, after the 2025 master plan is completed. I'd like to respectfully note 3 themes. Number 1, surrender. Resolution 240 surrenders authority of the library to the Burlington County Library System despite legal issues of whether a referendum is necessary. Number 2, downsize. Downsizing a space of 42,000 square feet to 12,000 to 17,000 square feet with no plan of how this is to be done. I have a diagram of the existing library, which is 42,000 square feet, and I'd like to know how you're going to be able to take that existing space and all of its functions to a space no greater than 17,000, even with shared space. The third theme is throwaway. Throwing away not just books, but workers with experience, caring workers. I can name many of them by name. History, that it took 6 years of planning, decision-making, and construction for the existing library. 3, possibilities, throwing away possibilities that could be realized through having expert architects. They're not just any kind of architect can do this kind of work. And a dialogue, a real dialogue with citizens. And last, throwing away any questions that we might have. Questions about costs, for example. How much is this going to cost? The existing library cost $8.225 million. I know that there were many funds that came from because it was a brownfield site. So those are the themes that I wanted to mention. So I do hope that you'll delay the resolutions until March 2025 when the resolution is when the master plan is completed. Thank you.
Thank you. What's your name again? I'm sorry.
My name is Don Shawless. I'm with Friends of the Library.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Rosemary Bender, and I'm also against both moving the library and combining it. First of all,
Rosemary, can I get your name?
you-
Or, excuse me, address?
132 Pennypacker Drive. If the residents of Willingboro don't even know about the library moving, how do companies, have they addressed moving into a space that's not even that's still occupied? You propose a space centrally located in a very busy street, especially for children on bikes and also on walking. There's nothing around it. The library is now where it has now is a grocery store, bank, food, sit-down places, fast and regular, Rita's, Dollar Tree, cleaners, laundromats, hairdressers, and other things. It's close to the senior housing, and personally, I'd like to get everything done at once. The library just got a new air conditioner, so how much more could carpeting and paint be? The computers would have to be new anyway, and there's plenty of room to carry out the many programs and future programs. As he had stated, 42,000 feet is a lot different than 12 to 17. Will there be enough space to carry out everything? Have you seen everything the library has actually had on their accounts? The space is inadequate. Will there be location in the back, front, middle? Will children have room to play, and will they be able to get there? Will the grandparents be able to get there? We need a better designer. Have you any funds to redesign the building? How much is it going to actually cost? And for fixtures and everything else. As far as the other question, I'd like to ask who's ready for a possible legal battle. We voted for it. We should have a right to say where it happens. What is the actual advantage of this proposal? Right now, we have the advantage of both systems. Why change? What will be the cost of future cost of the Burlington County Library? Willingboro is a very distinct and diverse community, and our library caters to that. We will be able to get the same library levels of bureaucracy going from
Time.
person to person, and many towns competing for it. I just want to say one other thing.
Ma'am,
Please be aware that monetary concerns
Ma'am.
do not
we'll have, Ms.
outweigh
Rose,
individual sense.
we'll hold those two resolutions till after also for another 4 minutes. You're quite welcome.
Dr. Corvina Francis Denton, Boxwood Lane. Thank you for your time and for allowing us to be here again one more time. I want to start by saying the library has worked hard to create the ad hoc committee and selected the members of the committee as we proposed at our last meeting. And on today, 10:15, we were provided with confirmation that the township clerk will be scheduling a committee meeting between the township and the ad hoc committee that was created. So we're grateful for that. We met with the Friends of the Library, and we also had an opportunity to speak with the staff of the library. Some of the comments that they made were already presented, so we checked them off the list. So I'm just going to read a few more for you into record. We are proposing that a consulting firm with knowledge of library functions and operations be consulted to examine the possible need and how we would downsize to fit into the space at the Kennedy Center. The question was asked, what would the cost be to residents if we prepare the space to move the library? A charrette process was utilized in the previous relocation and design of the town center. Would this process also be used for the move to the Kennedy Center? An extension is being requested until we've had an opportunity to continue communications about the move to the Kennedy Center or the possible move towards the Burlington County system. We're also asking that in both cases, the questions were asked, what will be the status of staff pending employment? What will happen to their benefits? Will full staffing be retained should there be a move to the Kennedy Center? What will happen to earned time and accrued time? As a part of the strategic plan for the 2024-25 year, the library is, thank you.
Well, like I said, we'll withhold those two resolutions for further discussion. Anyone online for public comment for agenda items only?
Yes, Mayor. Shirley Dilworth.
Ms. Dilworth, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
I'm not talking. I was not talking, but I am talking now. Good evening, everyone. Uh, Thank you. I just have a couple of comments about agenda item 240 and 241. Okay, in reference to let me start over. I did not give my address. I'm at Newport Lane. Okay, resolution 240. I am not in favor, okay, of the Willingboro Public Library becoming a part of the Burlington County Library System. And also, I do not support the idea of moving our library to the Kennedy Center until it has been determined that adequate space is available to accommodate a full-service library. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dilworth.
Brown,
Good evening, council members. Good evening, Mayor. Resolution
Name and address, please.
78 Executive Lane. Resolution 2024-25. Does that resolution apply to Councilwoman Perron because of her discourteous behavior towards the mayor? What is going to happen with that? And resolution 2024-24, can you explain in more details? And resolution 2024-18, what are the hours for the cannabis? And resolution 2024-240, I'm for the county system. I said that before. And resolution 2024-21, I'm for the library being moved to the Kennedy Center. My concern about the library was the incident where when you had to do the renovation for the AC, there was no notice sent out to the community. Community wasn't aware of the hours, and there was no transparency of open-minded to provide something else for the kids for the summer. Those 6 weeks or 7 weeks, kids had no access to books. Nobody came out and said to the community or come to the board meeting about how to apply that. So I'm trying to figure out, are you for the community right now? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
okay, Don,
Good evening. My name is Donovan Potts. I'm at 71 Messenger Lane. I'm speaking in reference to the library being moved to JFK. I'm not with that move, and I also agree with what everyone also said. Something that I didn't hear anyone state is the old library building being used to rent out for commercial space or events. Last council meeting, one of the council members brought that up, saying that that building can be used to rent out. And I think that we have enough vacant buildings around Willingboro to use. For instance, we have 2 old banks, one being across the street from the fire station. We have an old bank across from JFK in that plaza. We also have an old firehouse across from McDonald's that have been vacant for years that we don't use for anything. Those could also be places that we could rent out for events. So I don't see the old building for the library being that. That's all.
Thank you, Don.
okay, Angela Crawford,
Sorry. Angela Crawford, 9 Tremont Place. I am just waiting for a direct answer as to whether or not 2024-240 and 2024-241 are mutually exclusive. I think we keep dancing around it, but nobody ever says whether or not they're mutually exclusive. So I would just like an answer to that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Crawford. Anyone
Okay,
else? Go ahead.
yes, Zoom user.
Zoom user, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. You're on mute. Okay.
Good evening, Valerie Clay, Shetland Lane, Willingboro. Continuing with the list by Dr. Denton. Could a 6-month extension be provided for effective communication and presenting fact findings? And this is in collaboration with the council and the ad hoc committee, so we can clarify and collaborate more. Is there a deadline for the use of the funds from the grant mentioned in the previous council meeting? And okay. I think that was, let me see, we have the consulting firm. And also we've also received an offer from my son, Dr. Kevin Clay, to help with securing grants to expand offerings of with the library for free, and he would help us with that in order to help grow our library. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clay. All right. Seeing no more public comment for agenda items is now closed. All right, Mr. Harris. Mr. King had a question about the increase in taxes due to ordinance 2024.
He asked if there would be an increase to the budget, and there is no anticipated increase to the budget. We would just be, right now, we currently have 3 captains, and one of those captains would be transitioned into a position. So there would be no additional expenditures anticipated in the budget for that transition. As far as, permits for someone to have a bounce house during a block party or something like that, then they would have express permission to use their properties for those purposes. But just storing or housing a bounce house on the front yard would not be permissible.
Okay. All right, there were quite a few people that had concerns about moving to the Burlington County Library System. Again, council will still discuss that after the next public comment. Mr. Harris, do you have any comments about the size and the downsizing of the library? Because we did do some studies.
I do, and I'm going to ask Sean if he will at this time share those few photos. This was just not an out of the blue discussion that the council woke up and decided to do recently. This had been discussed previously. We had hired our engineer to go and assess the JFK Center. Initially, when they first were having issues with the HVAC, and they were coming back with cost proposals of around $1 million to replace the HVAC in the library. And at that point, that was the original catalyst about us investigating what it would cost to transition the library to the JFK Center. We did enlist the services of our engineer. They did take their professionals and go and review the space, which was the former library in the JFK Center. They did take information that was utilized regarding our current library usage. I believe at one point, Prior to COVID, foot traffic in the library was about 150,000 persons during the course of the year. And since COVID, it has increased some, but now they're just about a third of what it used to be. If you go into the library, and yes, it is a very massive space, but if you look at, the setup, there is a lot of dead space in the library that's not utilized. They have rows and rows and rows of bookshelves with a few books on them that are empty. The library has difficulties with keeping the facilities well-maintained and cleaned. And these are just some of the considerations that were behind transitioning the library to the JFK Center, along with it being a more central location adjacent with our community center. I understand that individuals have personal feelings about whether the move is a good move or a bad move, and we are respective of those individual feelings, but this is just not an out of the blue thing that we just undertook recently. Somebody had mentioned about adequate space. 12,000 feet, I don't know where these numbers are coming from because those were numbers that were never laid out by our engineer. I don't know most people wouldn't be aware that Andy Kim will be vacating his offices there after the election in November. So that space, along with the current footprint of the library, would all be incorporated into the total usable space in the library, which is still under planning and review. And the question is, what are the costs? What are the costs? What are the costs? We did receive $3 million in grant funding from the state of New Jersey to transition the community center and expand the footprint of the community center. And part of that consideration was also the inclusion of the library. I don't know what the totality of that project will be, but the $3 million was a first step in, and the inclusion of the library to the JFK Center was a part of that overall project. So it won't be a standalone, separate project specifically related to the transition of the library. It is not something that is going to happen in the next year because we still have to go through the design proposals. We have to go through construction. So we are talking some time. But I do think yeah, and again, you just would share just the conceptual pictures of what that space could look like. That is not going to be what it will look like. Those were just possible renderings from the architects. So I think, the council has done due diligence in researching this and bringing it to the public's attention. And I understand that everyone has their personal feelings, but, ultimately, really, what is the best operationally and cost effectiveness for the municipality?
And then can I just add, Ms. Clay asked, were there deadlines to use the funds for the renovation of the JFK Center?
There are deadlines. Off the top of my head, I believe that we need to be substantially moving along in that project by June of 2025. It does not have to be completed, but we need to be, moving forward. So we just can't sit around and wait. And we are making strides in our requirements with DCA. We've enlisted our engineer and those things. So we are moving along in that process.
Okay. And do you have any insight? And I'm going to say specifically for this conversation, for the move to JFK, any foreseeable downsizing of the staff or employees?
I don't see why there would be a downsizing of staff or employees. Your operations are your operations. We're not downsizing the operations. We're just changing the location. And again, this is just part of the rhetoric behind these types of activities that are unfounded. I don't ever remember anyone ever saying that we were going to be downsizing our library staff. We were saying we were going to relocate from where it is over to the JFK Center.
Okay. And just for some context also, Mr. Chalice had brought up a brownfield. I'm not familiar with that. But please correct me if I'm wrong, in terms of moving the library over to the Route 130 area. We also had 2 colleges over there at the time when we were thinking about expanding our library, and since then they have closed down. So the immediate need has been downsized a little bit. That's correct? Oh, okay.
Right.
And that's just for context. Ms. Crawford asked if 240 and 241 were mutually exclusive. As indicated before, they are definitely mutually exclusive.
Absolutely.
One can happen, both can happen, or neither can happen. So they definitely are mutually exclusive. We can decide not to go to Burlington County Library System and still move, or go to the Burlington County system and still stay at the Route 130 property. So they are definitely mutually exclusive. Also, Ms. Clay did offer that her son would help secure funding and grants, which appreciate. And then Ms. Brown, I didn't catch, I wrote down most of them. I didn't catch everything.
Yeah, she had some questions about ordinance 25.
Okay.
And I'm not going to address the questions related to that.
Okay.
But ordinance 24, it was related to establishing a position of a police chief, reducing one captain and having a police chief. I don't know what additional explanation she's looking for in relation to that. And then again, she mentioned ordinance number 18, which is the operating hours for the cannabis business, which I believe was extended till 10 o'clock PM.
8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Right.
And just for the purpose of the public, you can just restate the purpose of 2024-25. That was definitely specific for that came from the court, the judge in the courtroom.
That is correct. Certainly disorderly behaviors, maybe lewd behavior in the street, those types of activities. They don't really regulate actions of the governing body.
Correct.
Yeah, I think she was a little bit confused. That ordinance, if she didn't hear you properly, has to do with inappropriate behavior in the community, such as Mr. Harris said, nudity, spitting,
Correct.
violence, not violence, but like anything inappropriate in the community. It's nothing to do with our council meetings.
And then Mr. Don had mentioned commercial space. I'm not sure, Councilman Anderson, you didn't say commercial space per se. You said economic development, which the difference between the banks and some of the properties that were mentioned is that Willingboro owns that property versus some other opportunities for economic development that we don't have control over or own. The difference is that the library property we do own. Did anybody want to add anything else?
Yeah, and specifically related to that property, which is was an old bank across from the firehouse. I believe at one point a church was looking to move into that location. And then they kind of backed out of the deal, and subsequently a bodega type store was looking to move in to that location. And I don't know what their particular delays are, but there is activity happening in that one space. He did mention the empty firehouse across from the McDonald's, and that too were plans for that, and they fell through, and plans for that, and they fell through. So it's not like things aren't potentially happening there. They're just out of the control of the municipality.
Correct. Yeah, so yes, like Mr. Harris said, there is, yes, definitely some interest, but again, we don't have control per se outside of the land use, but we don't have control of what the owner does with that property. So, our hands are a little bit tied on that, but the library, for instance, would be under Willingboro's control.
Did you speak to the part about the referendum? Somebody asked something about the way
yeah.
it was, you spoke about
So
it.
no, I didn't speak about it. I said I will reserve those for after, for public comment, the second public comment. Okay. All right, you can move on.
Okay, for
Ordinances.
the ordinances for introduction, ordinance 2024-24, an ordinance to improve municipal operations and efficiency through departmental restructuring and amendments to Chapter 3, Article 10 of the Township Code relating to the Department of Police. Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-25, an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 252, Sections 6 through 9 with Sections 6 through 10 regulating disorderly conduct. Can I get a motion and a second?
Moved.
Second?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Okay, public hearings are scheduled for the November meeting, November 6th. Ordinances for public hearing. I'm opening ordinance 2024-18 for the public hearing. If anybody wishes to come forward and address the council, please do so. Being nobody came forward, I'm closing the public hearing. Ordinance 2024-18, an ordinance amending chapter 2021-11, setting forth the hours of operation for cannabis business under 126-5 of the Township Code of the Township of Willingboro. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved?
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Whitfield, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
No.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2024-19, and ordinance amending chapter 356, article 18, entitled Left Turn Prohibitions of the Code of the Willingboro Township. I'm opening the public hearing.
So moved. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
If anybody has any comment, please come forward. With no one coming forward, I close the public hearing. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-20, an ordinance establishing a working test period for Willingboro Township employees. I'm opening the public hearing. If anybody wishes to come forward, please do so. Being that nobody came forward, I'm requesting a motion in a second.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-21, an ordinance adopting a policy related to property and equipment reimbursement. I'm opening the public hearing. Please come forward. Being no one came forward, I'm closing the public hearing. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-22, an ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Willingboro, specifically Chapter 314-21 entitled Prohibited Conduct. I'm opening the public hearing. Please come forward. Being that no one came forward, I'm closing the public hearing. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-23, an ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Willingboro, specifically Chapter 370 entitled Additional Regulations by amending articles specifying the location. I'm opening the public hearing. Please come forward. Being no one came forward, I'm closing the public hearing. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson, Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the resolutions. We're going to withhold 240 and 241 until after, public comments. Are there any other resolutions that, yes, any other resolution that anyone would like to take out?
Just one,
Yes.
263.
263, okay. Any others?
263.
Okay, I make a motion for a consent agenda of resolutions 2024-251 through 262.
Second.
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. I make a motion to approve the same.
Second.
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Okay, so Resolution 263, do you want to vote on that now? I know you said
Yeah.
240 and 241 you wanted to
We
vote
can-
on later.
We can do that now.
263.
63.
Would you like me to read it by title?
Oh, no. Just need a motion for resolution 2024-263.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Discussion? Yes.
Thank you. So, this is one of the items that was on our last council meeting, pertaining to the, establishment of the golf scholarship and golf tournament, scholarship committee and golf outing. So I understand that it's been consolidated and it's no longer a committee. This is now, the scholarship golf outing, the annual scholarship golf outing. I did read through this and, I have just a couple of concerns. One, where it speaks to, be it further resolved that the Deputy Mayor Nathaniel Anderson shall serve as the liaison of the New Foundation. So again, as I spoke earlier with resolutions, adding someone's name to, we don't know where Councilman Anderson's going to be in 2025, right? He could be the mayor. So now, if he's the mayor in 2025, but this resolution says he's the deputy mayor, do we now have to revote and change that he's the mayor and it only can be him? So I think like the name, again, I think that should be pulled. And maybe perhaps the wording could say a liaison should be appointed as needed, because it's going to be an annual, so this would be the first time you're having it. 3 years from now, it's another annual. We don't know who's sitting up here. So that's one. And then the only other issue I had with it now is it says further resolved that the mayor is authorized to execute any necessary agreements with Nunu Foundation defining their duties and responsibilities regarding the scholarship golf outing. I have an issue with that because according to the Faulkner Act, we are governed as one. The mayor is, I hate the title of it, but it's the weak mayor because we vote as to what we're going to do as far as going forward. So at no time is the mayor making any decisions solely because of how, whatever, because we told it she could. So maybe the mayor attending a meeting, but not executing. So that part about that sentence, I think it says executing any necessary agreements. The mayor's never voting on any agreements on her own or on his own. So I would have an issue with that. Outside of that, I think this sounds a lot better, and it makes more sense to me. I didn't see, and I did read through it, that Nunu Foundation is responsible for administering the annual scholarship event. So to me, it says, including, not limited to, the collections of funds. So whatever funds is made, they're handling that. Our township is not. Our finance department is not. And I did see that they are to get $10,000, not to exceed $10,000 of proceeds for putting it together. So again, that's the only issues I have. Naming the deputy mayor and then the mayor executing agreements, it goes against the Faulkner Act for the council manager form of governments.
So I'll provide clarification on those questions. As far as the appointment, the resolution as drafted would authorize the deputy mayor for this year. If there is going to be a different liaison or reappointment of deputy mayor in 2025, it could be rephrased to make that appointment at that point in time as well. And then as far as the second question, with it being further resolved, the necessary agreements for Nunu Foundation's duties would be the MOA that you've referenced that's been attached. It's not beyond that authority, which if council at this point in time does vote to approve this, then mayor has been authorized by the governing body to effectuate that MOA. It's not an extension beyond that.
But this does, okay, and thank you for that. So with regards to the mayor piece, the deputy mayor piece, again, our reorg is in January, so that's in a few months. So again, if the liaison must be Nathaniel Anderson until 2025, then that date should be added here. Because even if he's voted again to be deputy mayor in 2025, this needs to be the dates of not to exceed 1 year, or something needs to be added to that effect. I just think it causes confusion going down the line by putting people's names. Really, it could be resolved by just not putting his name there. But either way, if you can add that, what you stated about the date, that it's just to the end of this year, which is 2024, right? Is that what you mean as far as the date?
This would be for an annual resolution for 1 year that there is an appointment of.
All right, so then would anybody be opposed to just taking, the liaison can be appointed, and then we can take the name out? And liaison should be appointed. Is there any clarification in the language of executing any necessary? Because that's pretty much on all resolutions, but
Is it
if they're, because like for any of them, like if we approve something, the mayor has the authority to sign.
Oh,
the
just to
contract.
sign. So you're.
I'm not
Correct,
making
it's just
decisions.
execution.
Okay,
Right, or
okay.
whoever's the mayor is not making decisions.
Okay.
They would, everything would have to come before council, and then from the council's direction, whoever the mayor is will have the authority to sign.
Okay, copy. Thank you.
So we're okay, we have to do we have to backtrack, because we amended. So you're okay with the liaison should be appointed as
Yes,
strictly,
I
okay,
think that would make more sense.
okay. And we're okay with the mayor's language on that one. That's pretty standard, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that is pretty standard for other execution of agreements.
Okay.
Once voted on.
Yes. Okay. Do we have to take back the second motion?
So you can take back the second and the motion and make a motion to amend this resolution so that the language reads, be it further resolved, that a liaison is to be appointed for the period of 2024 to 2025. And with that language, I can then you can pass the resolution as is. I can amend the language and have it updated for the clerk to post.
Is that okay?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
All right, I rescind my motion.
And I rescind the second.
I'd like to make the motion to accept the resolution with the suggested amended changes.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Worthy. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. Okay.
Did we want to approve the treasurer's report?
Mhm.
Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Whitfield, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. For the approval of minutes, did everybody get a chance to read over those, review those? Yay, nay? Okay. All right, you can go ahead.
Okay, we're gonna vote in block.
Yes.
That's okay. All right, can I get a motion in a second to approve, both draft sets of minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Any discussion?
Discussion, Mayor.
Yes.
I just asked one final read before they're published. I know they were draft. There were a few comments, questions, cleanup that needed to be done. So
Okay,
just request that's done before, they're posted.
okay, of course.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Excuse me,
Yes.
can I get some clarity on what Councilman Worthy just stated?
Yes, so what we received were just the draft of the notes, so the draft of the minutes. And so there were just like some comments in there where they were, Mr. Fault and Ms. Savino were, sharing comments, like they just have to finalize it. It wasn't, yeah, I don't think it's I just don't want a copy that's a draft to go up. I want to make sure that, they remove like their notes, working notes, before it's published, that's all.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Didn't I?
That was discussion.
Oh, my apologies. Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. All right, you can provide your updates.
Okay, so today was the final voter registration deadline. It closed at the end of the business day. We had quite a busy afternoon. We had a bunch of people come in, so that was great. The next major deadline's October 29th. It's the vote by mail ballot deadline. That's the date that they can receive the vote by mail ballots via mail. The deadline to submit your vote by mail ballot application in person is November 4th. Early voting will take place from October 26th to November 3rd at the library from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then on Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The voter hotlines, voters can reach out to if they have questions, 609-265-VOTE. And I have a list of all the vote by mail, all the early voting locations in the back. Anybody can vote in any of these locations. You don't have to just go to Willingboro. You can go to any of the towns listed. It's all at large. And then the only two things I have a shred event that's tentatively scheduled for December 4th. And then we are moving the dog clinic, the rabies clinic, from May to January. The reason we're doing that is the statute requires that the dogs, before they're licensed, their rabies vaccine has to be good through November. So having the rabies clinic in May doesn't really make a lot of sense. This way, people can vaccinate their animals before they're required to license. This will prevent people from getting unnecessary late fees. It just made more sense to move it. It made more sense for the residents. It made more sense for us. So we've already sent the notice of intent to the state. We will be scheduling that. This is tentative. I will keep public information posted, as well as you guys, if anything changes.
And is there something we can do? I know the difference between May and what did you say? January, the weather. I know it's been outside all the
So
time.
I was
with the
thinking of
dogs.
switching it. There were a couple different locations. I had some preliminary discussions. I was thinking about attempting to do it at either the DPW or the Recreation Center. Again, this is preliminary. I haven't had a formal conversation yet, but I did take that into account. I will make everybody aware of where it's going to be held. It's not going to be held outside in January. That would be crazy.
Right. Right. So yeah, I mean, but the dogs, the animals. So I mean, so just just work that out. Just keep us updated on that.
Of course.
Work with Mr. Harris to see if there's anything that we can
Yeah.
do.
And the shred event, that's going to be open to the public and to the employees. I have to destroy records as part of my job as the records custodian. So one of the things I like to do is open that up to the public as well. So people, as a community service, people can shred their confidential records. So I'll keep you guys posted on that as well.
Okay.
I was thinking about doing that potentially at the Recreation Center, potentially at the library.
Yeah, just make sure the schedule
Of course.
is okay. With the township manager.
Of course.
Thank you. Anything else for Mr.
Nope.
Waltz? Okay. Moving on to unfinished business. Do we have any updates about the pools? Is there any further information?
Collectively, we have to make a decision as to whether we are going to invest monies to do an overall evaluation of the pools, or if we're just going to kind of look at our potential costs and maybe just look at moving forward with the replacing. We got a couple of estimates from engineers to do evaluations on our pools, and 2 of the 3 estimates came in over $100,000 apiece. And the one engineer that came in below that was the one that has been currently working with the township and pretty much knows the condition and status of the pools. But even that was a $40,000 bill to produce a report to which we should already have that information. We're looking at the potential cost to make the repairs at the Country Club pool, which are looking to be around $400,000. In line with that, we're just looking at $500,000 for one pool, and it might just be a worthy investment to evaluate the cost to rehabilitate a good rehabilitation project on one of our pools. And instead of spending, the money just feeling around trying to fix something that's 60 years old.
I'm sorry, maybe you said it already. Do you have a cost?
We got
Or-
two estimates to do over 100,000 apiece to do the evaluations of our pools and
Not the evaluation, like to get a whole nother pool, like to,
yeah.
okay.
My cost and the engineer's cost will be substantially different.
Okay, okay.
But it's not a cheap
Right.
venture. But again, it would depend greatly upon what you're looking at as a final product.
So I just asked the governing body for the next, well, we have 3 for our our first November meeting. If everybody can take a look at all the correspondence that Mr. Harris has sent out already, and if there's any other clarifying questions, we reach out to Mr. Harris and have some sort of further discussion and come to some conclusion by the next council meeting. And yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I did have a chance to look over the information that was provided by Mr. Harris. I agree that some of those assessment quotes were pretty outlandish in their cost numbers. But I know as a council, we had talked about either redoing the pool or considering an aquatic center with an indoor swimming option or something of that sort. I think if we would like to go down that path of an indoor swimming option or something of that, we wouldn't need a full assessment of all three pools. I think that would be a waste of money to assess, areas that we don't intend to use any further. But instead creating a transition plan of something while the new facility or pool was being designed and constructed, that we make minimal necessary repairs to keep at least one of the pools operating and fully functioning.
Okay. That sounds good. All right. And Mr. Fall, just keep that on the agenda. Is there any other unfinished business? Councilwoman Perone?
Yes, the unfinished business that I'm going to speak to tonight is the Veterans Day Parade as it pertains to the Parade and Events Committee. I am speaking as the liaison and also as a resident of Willingboro, and how disappointed I am including the committee. So I would like for us to clarify understanding, because we received an email, rather I received an email from Mr. Harris that the mayor was not in favor of holding the Veterans Day Parade. That email came in September. And then it was further clarified that the mayor was unsure if the rest of council wanted to have a Veterans Day Parade. I wanted to bring to everybody's attention that on January 30th, 2024, 4 women were appointed to the parade committee. 2 of the women, one was the wife of a soldier, military soldier. The other, her father served in the military. And myself, my father served in the Vietnam War, and Korean War. We hold that parade very passionate to ourselves and why we want to be a part of the parade committee. Now, why am I only speaking about the Veterans Day Parade? Most may know I'm from New York, originally raised in New York. We have the Puerto Rican Day Parade, the Caribbean Day Parade, the Thanksgiving Day Parade, the Veterans Day Parade. There's even a dog parade. But in my 20 years of living in Willingboro, there's only been one parade, and that's the Veterans Day Parade. So not only did the committee, the 5 of us, which is what it says we're supposed to do according to the parade resolution of 2016-122, it says it right here. Whereas the Township Council finds that it is in the best interest of the township to establish a special ad hoc committee of citizens and community organizations to support and develop parades for the community. And whereas the committee will act as an advisory board to the Township Council to plan, assist, and support parades and similar events. Whereas, this is one of the most important parts of this resolution. Whereas it is the intention of the Township Council to solicit and appoint who? Individuals. We appointed 4 women to this committee. Individuals and representatives of the community to serve on the committee in accordance with Chapter 16, a code of the Willingboro Township. And it's also identified as citizens access boards and commissions. I have that code right here, and I did speak about it at the last council meeting. Not to go too long with this topic, but I want to be very clear for those who are listening, okay? Here's what it reads, okay? It says here, purpose. The purpose of this chapter is to foster the openness of governing and provide citizens with information concerning various appointed municipal positions which exist within the Township of Willingboro, New Jersey. This chapter further provides for procedure whereby a citizen can indicate his or her desire to serve in a particular appointed position. Finally, this chapter provides notification process so that those who have indicated desire to hold the position will be notified regarding action taken. It further goes into definitions of certain vocabulary. It speaks about directories and authorities of the board, which is very important because that's about process and what they're allowed to do. So remember, let's remember, I just read the parade resolution, and what did it reference? This chapter 16. So it says, the township clerk shall comply and maintain a directory of all local authorities, boards, and commissions. Such directory shall be made available upon request from the township clerk, posted on the township website and bulletin board for official notices at the building. Okay, moving forward and along. Next block, posting vacancies. That speaks to if there is a vacancy on the committee must notify the council and, what does it say? The township clerk. It goes into filling vacancies. It is the committee's duly responsibility, not the council. Unless essential for proper functioning or carrying on business of local agencies upon vacancy has occurred, a vacancy shall not be filled for a period of 21 days from this posting in order to allow interest of persons to submit applications. Applications is the next category, and just to summarize it, it said, well, I'll read this part verbatim. The township clerk shall maintain application forms, okay, as well as the posting of the application to these committees. Said applications must be completed by any person interested in serving an appointed municipal position. This is all speaking about commissions, boards, and committees. It speaks about your name, your address, personal information. Letter G says, anybody interested, they can have the education or prior volunteer experience or work-related experience. I spoke about what the SOP. The SOP says if you have a work-related experience, you're not allowed to volunteer. That goes against our chapter 16. That SOP really, again, I'm encouraging our solicitor to really, this is why you're here, ma'am, because you have studied law. So we have these ordinances in place. So this way, when we have ideas, you just kind of apply it to what we already have that's in place. So it speaks to that right there. Lastly, filing applications, maintaining filed applications, and the applications review, okay? Nowhere does it say the township council votes on whether or not we put on a parade or not. Lastly, well, second to last, the council, we voted our budget. We gave the parade committee, we appointed the people first, then we voted on, really it was supposed to be $35,000 during discussion, but they said we needed to take $10,000 to give it to the Jazz Festival Committee because they needed more money. So then we went down to $25,000. So that's what the committee had, $25,000, okay? The committee started their feet, started working, sending emails discussing what we're gonna do for the parade. Back in May, reserved rooms, did everything, contacted the military, which by the way, okay, everybody confirmed that they were coming, except for, I guess, who, us, because we contacted Fort Dix. They said they were coming, and because they advised me to have the parade not on Veterans Day, they were actually going to send their own troops. So we have people that's actually serving in the military that were going to come just to Willingboro to honor our veterans in uniform. The Willingboro High School band, the superintendent confirmed the students were coming. Burlington Township ROT students confirmed they were in attendance. They don't even live in Willingboro, but they were willing to come here and help us honor and salute our veterans, okay? Buffalo Soldiers Motorcycle Club, they were confirmed that they were coming. And we had a few people who we wanted to honor that actually work for our community and honor them and say thank you. And they work for our community and they served in the military. And as the liaison, I didn't even get an invitation to the discussion that not to move forward. Mr. Harris emailed me, confirmed, the mayor said, do nothing else. You know what you're supposed to do in September? Print out the lawn signs. How many people remember seeing Clean Up Willingboro lawn signs? We see it all over. Have you seen one veteran parade coming lawn sign? No. The flyer was already designed. I said, when are you going to advertise? The mayor said she's not sure if the council wants to have. Did we have a discussion about the parade at the last council meeting? No. I spoke to staff here. How long does it take to shut the street down? We're going to need about 2 to 3 weeks. So therefore, yes, I had to send out letters to all the people who were interested in coming to Willingboro, to the elected body committee, okay? Elected officers to what town? A town that was built for veterans. And we couldn't even support the people who we appointed to this committee. We gave them money to put on a parade. So there was no confusion whatsoever that no one on this board was confused that they were putting on a parade, a Veterans Day parade. And I will close there because, again, like I said, we don't put on any other parades but the Veterans Day parade. So I think that was really wrong with what you did, and it is sad. But I would like the mayor to speak to that.
I'll speak to when I want to. Anybody else have anything to say about that?
I would just like to point out one thing that Councilwoman Perrone so eloquently read as part of the parade and events resolution, is that the committee exists to act as an advisory board to the council. And I think that's the critical part that you're missing in that resolution, Councilwoman Perrone, because no committee under this township, except for the quasi judicial boards, such as the zoning board and the planning board, has the authority to carte blanche plan any event or spend any township money without the approval of the body. And I think that's a practice that we have done for a number of years now. Any events that are going on, it is talked about at the council meeting, approved, and then the committee goes on and continues planning. And not one time this year did the topic of a Veterans Day parade come before the council. I'm not against having a Veterans Day parade. I actually support having a Veterans Day parade, but it was never presented to the council for us to vote on. And I understand yourself and the committee has worked diligently to make arrangements, but it was never presented to be approved. And I think as an advisory committee to the council would have to approve that event to move forward. And I just wanted to point that out for the public and just state that if we allow this, it sets a precedent that any committee can plan events, spend township money, taxpayer dollars without the approval of council, and I do not think that is right. That is all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Just to piggyback off what Councilwoman Whitfield said, you know, we were expected to get a report and update. I know early on in the year, you didn't have a lot of members on that board. So as you started to fill it, we understood that there may be a possibility of a parade. Mr. Harris even said, we reserved that date, we reserved the banquet hall, but there was no information that actually came back to this council. Now, it's my understanding that you were working behind the scenes with administration. But once again, it never came to the council. So our take on it was once it got, I think in August or in September, we started hearing, but nothing officially came to us. So speaking with the majority of the council members, we said, well, if it doesn't come to us, you know, it may be too late to do the actual parade because a lot goes into it. But if you wanted to do the banquet hall, the program that you did the 2 years ago, which was great, we were all for it. We don't want to make it seem or appear that we're against the veterans. We love our veterans. So that program, that interior program, I believe the majority of council supports that. It's just that trying to do the parade and doing it right, I think it's just not enough time for us to prepare accordingly because it did not come before us for the approval. So I think that's what the disconnect was. And even though it was conversations were going on with the administration, we were still unaware of if it was happening, if it wasn't. And then as the last meeting came about, you know, we had to abruptly stop that meeting. So we didn't really get a chance to continue the discussion. But no one here is against the veterans. We love our veterans. Like I said, we're all for the interior parade, but trying to now do an exterior parade from whatever point to whatever point, the time frame is so short. And one thing, you know, I do say is if the township is going to do something, we want to be represented in the best possible light that we can be. We just don't want to put something on just to say we had it. So I just think that there may have been some miscommunication where it didn't come back to us, which we would have supported, but nothing came back to us. And And then when I saw the communication, that you sent Mr. Harris and everything about not being on, that's when we were like, what's happening? So it's not that we don't support it, we do, but to do the parade at this late juncture, I think it just puts everybody, in an unpeculiar situation. And once again, based on the SOP that was requested, council should be approving it. And if it would have just came to us, I don't think we would have had an issue. But what happened, it didn't, and then all of a sudden we start seeing the emails. That's all. Thank you.
And I'm just going to speak for myself that when this was brought to my attention, it was September. So let me just be clear about that. It was September when it was brought to my attention. And what I said, it was just, all right, we'll put it on the schedule. We'll put it on the agenda so that we can vote on it. It was very simple. There was no mayor stop the parade. So I'm saying that on the record. There was no, so you're spreading this narrative that is so off and ridiculous. And all you had to do was bring it to the council. You're being so resistant to that. That's just basic colleague respect. Bring it to the council. And to be honest, it would have passed. I believe it would have passed. You had your votes. You decided not to bring it in front of council for whatever reason. I don't understand. But you make this narrative that nobody cares about veterans. You have no idea what anybody does with the veterans. You have no idea what people do for their loved ones, for the community, for the veterans. So you spew this stuff and this negativity, and it's you. All you had to do was bring it before council. I put it on an agenda because it was brought to me that you were moving forward. Okay. I don't have a problem with that. Bring it before council. Unfortunately, last council meeting, it got shut down, but that's all you had to do. So I don't know what you're making this story that everybody's against veterans and all that. It's a parades and events committee. That means it could be any parade. You could have did any parade you wanted to. You still have to bring it before council. And that's what any organization, any committee, any committee in an organization does never act rogue. You never just do what you want to do. Just bring it before council. I don't think anyone up here had a problem with you doing any parade. And that's all, but you make these stories. I'm watching emails, and I figured it was a misunderstanding. I was going to call you back, but then you create these problems on the emails. That's ridiculous. So again, like I said, no one was against, the mayor was not against holding the parade. I put it on the agenda on purpose so that we can just vote on it and you can proceed. That's it. I don't see where the commotion is coming in. And, all you had to do was, you could have talked to any of your colleagues to see what they thought about the parade. Nobody was against the parade. I promise you that. But again, even the last meeting, we were like, okay, well, just put an agenda. I, for one, was going to say, okay, I don't have a problem with it, but I think we still have to go through the proper protocol. That's it. That is very simple. You're saying the parade is because you didn't come to council. That's it. It's not anyone trying to prohibit you from celebrating the veterans.
Did you want to say something? Okay, I would like to respond to the three comments. Unfortunately, your comments come across as like an oxymoron type of a statement, because when you appoint the people to put on the parade and then you're surprised there's a parade coming, it's a little weird. Number two, to Councilman Whitfield's comment about the parade committee resolution, I'm not missing anything. It says advisory board. What else does it say there? To be in accordance with Chapter 16. That's very important. Not just one word and run off with the word advisory board, it's flagging it around. Chapter 16 speaks to every type of procedure for any committee, okay? And as I read to you, just to keep it short, some of the details and the bullets, nowhere does it say the council votes on these type of events. You already voted to appoint the people. Therefore, you're not surprised that they're working on a parade. We only have a Veterans Day parade in Willingboro. There's never, ever been another type of parade. So you're not surprised that the people you appoint to the parade committee are going to put on a parade. Yes, Councilman Anderson, Deputy Mayor Anderson, it does take a lot of time. And you know what? The women, they happen to be all women, worked on this committee and they put a lot of work into putting it together. In September was where we were beginning to let everyone know. Not get approval from the council because we already voted for that. That's the part where we vote on. We vote on giving the committee money, and we vote on the people to run the parade, to put it together. That's what their job. We don't dictate. And if you wanted to see what was going on, you could have attended any meetings or called the liaison. That would be me. Madam Mayor, yes, you absolutely did. Was on that email. And like you said, you were gonna call me back. It's been a month. I've not gotten a call back. You told Mr. Harris not to proceed. That was the last step, shutting the street down, having the meeting, and advertising the event. Everything else was done, but you completely disregarded the work and efforts that was put on for this committee, okay? So please, I would rather the three of you just be very honest, okay? Because the truth is, you wanted to put on the golf tournament, okay? Councilman Anderson asked me in July for $10,000 because he needed to give a deposit for the golf tournament, and I said, we don't have it. I told him that. Madam Mayor, you called me too. He said, I thought you knew that's what they wanted to do. I said, no. I said, the parade is the parade committee. That's what they're working on. So I don't know. And then at the council meeting, what do we see? This botched up resolution, scholarship, golf. I'm like, whoa, okay? So I'm gonna close there just because of the late of the hour. But honestly, when you appoint people to any of these committees, just give them a little respect. That they're putting their time in to help the council and the community have a wonderful event, okay? And again, the fact that you needed to vote on whether or not you want to salute the veterans or recognize them, do you really have to vote on that? Have they not served enough of their time for you to be sitting here, by the way, okay? You have to vote on that, and it's a national holiday. Do not forget it. And I asked that last year when it was forgotten. Remember, the bank was rented to somebody, a birthday party? They forgot Veterans Day was coming. Okay, so please, if you're gonna, just be honest, okay? You had other initiatives for that money and you wanted to pretend that the committee all of a sudden had to come before you to ask you about a parade when you already pointed them to the parade, to put on a parade committee. I'm done.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Just real quick. Councilwoman Perone, how long have you been the liaison on the Events and Parade Committee?
I would say 2 consecutive terms.
When you say term, you mean 2 years?
No, terms,
So
like,
that's 8 years? Okay, so if that's the 8-year window, we've only had one parade. So when you say it's oxymoron that we form a parades committee and we are to expect a parade, you do one parade in 8 years. So if we don't know, we can't, it's not guesswork to us. It's not like you had it consecutive all 8 years. So we say, okay, we know a parade's coming. We don't know. So all we ask is that you bring it forth, just as we all said. Just give us the respect. You're saying we don't give respect, or we just want the same respect from each liaison who represents a committee. But it's not oxymoron if you've been in that position for 8 years and only put on one parade. So we cannot assume that every year there's going to be a parade. That's all I'm saying.
Councilman Anderson, right, this committee was dormant. And it was created in 2016. No one did anything since then, okay? I put the initiative in 2022 to put it on, and then it was blocked last year. And I said, please remember the veterans in 2024. And what did you do? Again, you forgot. You needed to vote on whether or not you wanted to remember them. That's what you're all saying. And the oxymoron part about it now, and Councilman Anderson, is that you vote for the people to be on the parade, and what are they gonna do? Put on a parade. So to say that, it's like you put on the people for the barbecue committee, and then they put on the barbecue like, you're actually ordering chicken? Like, it's like, that's what I mean. It's you putting people on this committee to put on a parade. And that's what they tried to do. And then to say you weren't aware, you were surprised, they didn't ask you, then why did you appoint them to the committee to begin with? And again, I don't want us to be here till 10 o'clock. The chapter 16 speaks for itself. Nowhere does it say we got to vote on whether or not we put on a parade. You put the people there, you appointed them, you gave them the money, now let them do the job and respect them. I'm not even speaking about myself. Respect the people that you appointed to the position. That's all I have to say.
Everybody good?
I just have one thing to add. Just to clarify, I'm well aware of the resolution. I've read through it several times, as the rest of the committee resolutions that we have in this township. And many of them are categorized, as I said, as advisory boards. And just to read the definition of an advisory board, is an advisory board is a body that provides non-binding strategic advice to the management of a corporation, organization, or foundation. The informal nature allows an advisory board greater flexibility in structure and management. And also it relieves them of legal and fiduciary responsibilities. So it is a legal issue that they cannot just do things on their own. The advisory committee or any advisory committee advises the council on areas of knowledge gap or particular interest, shared interests. They come together with a plan, they present it to council, council approves it or does not approve it, and then they continue on with their work. That is how advisory boards work. And I'd like to end my comments there.
That is all correct, but the committee shall be in accordance with Chapter 16 Code of Willingboro
Chapter-
Township. So you cannot separate the two.
Chapter 16 dictates how positions are advertised,
No.
how people are selected, how they're appointed to committees, and things like that.
No, there's more to it.
All right.
Okay.
So then moving on to new business. I'd like to get the council's consensus on our second November meeting falls in the week of Thanksgiving. I'd like to know if anyone would like to reschedule or cancel the second November meeting.
Reschedule to when?
Let me see. Because we have the league on the
Oh, yeah.
the 19th, so we'll be at the league. The 26th is the next meeting.
Mhm.
But that's on the Thanksgiving week. So I'm just trying to find a consensus on whether we want to have it or cancel it.
I'm okay with canceling, unless
Okay.
there's something coming up that we don't
Yeah.
know that month.
And,
as far
and
as
I'll
the
refer
township
to
manager.
township manager. Okay, all right. I mean, you can get everything in for that, because at first, that means we would only have a meeting on November 6th, which is that Wednesday after the election. And it's 3 weeks later, so I just want to make sure we have all the business handled of the township.
Yeah, we'll try to get it wrapped up.
Okay. Let's try.
All we can do.
All right, do I have anyone else have any input for the 26th? Cancel?
I'm not sure what the vote's gonna be, but I won't be here. I'll
Okay.
have family in town preparing, and
Okay,
the following week, we go into the first week of December.
right,
I know in years past, we've canceled that
Okay.
meeting, but I know for one, I will not be there.
all right. So is everyone in favor of canceling that one?
Yes.
Yes, I'm in favor of that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Also wanted to get a sense of the council's appetite for hiring an in-house engineer that works on behalf of the township. We have our professional engineers, but we're looking to see if we want to have an in-house engineer for our purposes to sort out. We have a lot of projects coming in, and we want to have an expert on board that can help us manage all these major capital projects and some of our infrastructure projects. Dr. Worthy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I've read what Mr. Harris shared with us regarding an in-house township engineer. And also, as we've been looking at the reorganization of the township, I do support an in-house township engineer. Something that I am really curious about is how we round out the scope of responsibilities so that as projects peak and go down, we do have a full scope of work for that person. Not that they have to be commingled with DPW, but there could be some other responsibilities that they would have. My only concern is making sure that we have a full scope of work when our projects go down, because we won't always be peaking like we are with projects. I do see the value of having someone who's completely committed to Willingboro and staying on top of the engineers and the construction teams that are out there doing the work. So I do support it, as long as we are very mindful and demure about how we approach our scope of work for that individual. But I do think that would be great for the municipality.
Okay.
I
Go
like
ahead,
that.
Councilwoman
I just
Ferraro.
like, I guess I'm a little confused as to what the role of that person would be, especially because if we have the engineers, they're orchestrating the project. So how special is this other person, and are they working along with the people that are putting together the infrastructure? Or is this a separate engineer working on one of our projects, but not necessarily all of them.
Mr. Harris, can you explain that, the in-house engineer?
So part of our engineers, what we pay our contracted engineers for are things like contract management, bid specs, construction management. So essentially, we would be deferring those expenses which we are paying for anyway to outside engineers, and we'd be utilizing in-house persons for these types of services. Some of the benefits of that, it would reduce some of our contracting fees, being that our outside engineers usually charge us hourly rates. So every time we get an email, $50. Every time we get a phone call, $50. And if they come to a meeting, $400, where our in-house engineer would give us advice, direction, and oversee our projects as part of their job duties. Just in 5 projects alone this year, we spent $251,000 just on contract and construction management. Those fees could have been utilized to pay an in-house engineer to do these projects, who could also issue our road permits, which we pay an outside engineer for. When we have problems with infrastructure, we have to call our outside engineers to come in and evaluate the situations. We also pay outside engineers to oversee planning board projects or zoning projects, and they could help with the master planning. And these are some of the things that having an in-house engineer would be beneficial for the town. When it comes to designing major road projects, we would still utilize outside engineers to do those types of projects, but that would be the extent of it. It would be the engineering and design portion of the project, and then that would be transitioned to construction management and contract management by our in-house engineers.
Okay, thank you. And is that going to be a one person, like a group of people, like for the in-house engineers?
It would be a one-person job, and they probably need a staff, clerk of some sort, staff support.
Okay, and this would be a salaried person. This is a salaried person. Okay. Yeah, I think it sounds like a great idea.
And, but I would like to make sure, Dr. Worthy's, concerns are addressed, because I think that's a good point, because we know we have the ebbs and flows of our projects, and, to make sure, keep some
Absolutely.
busyness during the low periods. Councilwoman Whitfield?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Harris, would you be able to pull like a job description or roles and responsibilities for this person for us to just look over, to Councilwoman Worthy's point of, what would their responsibilities be outside of just the engineering task, to kind of keep them active?
Yes.
Thank you.
So yeah, we can discuss further at our next meeting. But I do think, considering a lot of the projects that are coming up, I think it would be a worthy investigation to see if we should have an in-house engineer. All right, Mr. Fault, do you have an update on our public budget hearings that will be happening?
They're tentatively scheduled for November 13th and 14th from 2:30 to 4:30.
Okay. All right. And can you explain that for the public so they can?
Yeah, so every November, according to our form of government, directors of each department are required to come before the manager and make their budget requests for the subsequent year. And by statute, those meetings have to be public meetings. So we hold them in a public forum, and we invite the council to participate in the process alone, so we can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, where you can participate in the budget hearing process as well. I don't believe that 2 hours is going to be sufficient.
Okay.
I may need at a minimum a 3rd hour.
for each day?
No, in totality. So we have 9 directors, 20 minutes apiece. So if you do the math, it comes out to about 180 minutes, which is 3 hours.
So if I have 2 meetings with 2 hours each?
That would more than cover it.
Okay, so I think that's what we posted, right? That's what we have. I know you said, kept saying 1 initially, but there
There was a
was
second
2.
one?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know the meeting on the 13th, so when is the second one? The 14th?
14th. I apologize. That's probably my fault. I sent you an email saying just the 13th, but then I sent out an Outlook invite for both dates for 2 hours each.
Okay, and I did get the invite, and I was confused because I had only received the communication for the 13th.
Okay.
So, okay, thank you.
All right.
Question.
Yes.
Mr. Harris, will we receive a read-ahead packet for those discussions?
Yes, the directors are in the process of preparing those documents right now.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Also, just an update, Mr. Fall, I forgot to ask you during the clerk's updates. We did send out for our professionals, the RFP.
We did not, but
Oh,
we
we did
will
not.
for November.
Okay, all right. Can you provide the council with a full list? And I would just like the governing body to take a look at those professionals to make sure we need all of them, or if we want to add any or subtract anything.
You were provided the list of professionals at the last meeting. I can
Okay.
provide it again. That's not
Yeah,
a problem.
did you do an email or hard copy? We did hard. I know I got a
believe I
hard
put it
copy.
with your meeting packet, but I
Yes.
can email that out separately.
Right.
It's not a problem.
Right. So I just asked the governing body to take a look at that. If any of them, we can come to a consensus whether we want to keep everybody or add anybody or subtract. All right. Anything else for new business? All right. Moving on to public comment. You have 4 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment is now open. I'm sorry.
Going back to the resolutions.
After public comment. Yeah.
My name is Esther Turner, and I'm the chairperson for the Parades and Events Committee. I'm at 3 Woodhaven Lane. Honorable Madam Mayor and distinguished council, I'd like to just read a letter from the Parades and Events Committee. I listened to everything that was said this evening. However, we did put something together prior to the understanding of what's going on this evening. So in all due respect, I would like to read this letter from the Parade and Events Committee. Good evening, honorable council members. The Willingboro Parade and Events Committee would like to express our concern regarding the recent cancellation of the 2024 Willingboro Veterans Day Parade. The Township Parade honors our brave township veterans and celebrates their service to our nation. It is a time to express gratitude and appreciation, from parades to ceremonies to special events. It is also a time to reflect on veterans' impact on this country and acknowledge the challenges they may have faced returning home or transitioning into civilian life. The brunch and ceremony honoring Willingboro veterans, which precedes the parade, is a time to honor township residents and simply say, with sincere gratitude, thank you for your service. The celebration was intended to let the veterans know that we recognize that put their personal lives on hold for the betterment of our country's well-being. The committee has worked in unison to plan and implement this event befitting of the patriotic veterans living and serving within the township. We worked in collaboration with the council liaison, adhering to the standard operation procedures, objectives, and budget requirements. We recently received email notification that the much anticipated event was being canceled. We, the volunteers of the committee, after planning details since April, are very disappointed in this cancellation. The Willingboro residents and veterans within the community deserve recognition. We were looking forward to honoring the veterans as a community, recalling the Willingboro Veterans Day Parade of 2022, which took place during the rain. It did not damage the spirits of those participating, nor the residents that came out and cheered on the parade procession. We are hoping that the Township Council would reconsider their position, bearing in mind the well-received responses we received of confirmed participation for this year's parade from our military, school, and community partners. Thank you in advance for your consideration. Dutifully submitted, the Willingboro Township Parade and Events Committee. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Turner.
Evening again, Marcus King, 135 Torrington Lane. I want to touch on a subject that I understand, and I really don't know all of it, so I may be talking out of turn. I know that during this year, there was an issue with the cheerleaders in recreation. And I do know that the cheerleaders are getting ready for their competition. And I do know that they're not meeting here in Willingboro and don't have a facility for them to meet in. And I guess what I'm asking the council is if we could have a meeting with some stakeholders involved to find out why is it that we can't have these cheerleaders practicing in a facility in Willingboro. These are our babies, and they go out and they represent this township. I don't know what the issue is, and I'm not even taking sides. What I'm asking for is, can we find a place? They start their competition as of January, and they don't have a facility big enough to meet in. And it would be a disgrace if this year they're not successful in their due diligence because we couldn't figure out a place for them to meet. The way I understand it is they pay the Kennedy Center for their use, and this is outside of the regular football season. So I think there is a difference. All proceeds are generated by the parents and fundraisers. So there's no cost, the way I understand it, for the competition cheer. And I'm not talking about the football cheer. We have to find a way to make sure we're taking care of our children here in Willingboro and put them first. So I'm asking you as a council and the Willingboro citizens, let's come together and do right by those young ladies because they deserve a chance and they need to hear from us. And I thank you, and hopefully I hear back from you on that matter.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Don Shawless, Friends of the Willingboro Library. First, I'd like to address Resolution 240. Resolution 240 does mean that all workers' jobs will be up for grabs. Dr. Worthy mentioned that a couple of times. So surrendering authority to the Burlington County Library System does mean that all the jobs will be up for grabs. These are people that have a lot of experience. They're people that care about people in Willingboro. Several of them live in Willingboro and have lived there for many years. On Resolution 241, the resolution does say that the dedicated space will be 12,000 to 17,000 square feet. Mr. Harris, it does say, whereas the library relocation would use 12,000 to 17,000 square feet of the available 42,000 square feet of the Kennedy Center located at 429 John F. Kennedy Way. So we do ask for a delay in these resolutions to March 2025, unless there is a way of being able to get material answers. There are a lot of questions that have been raised even tonight. One is for example, the person who created that image that was on the screen. If you go back and you look at this image, this is from 1999.
He was showing
saw it
he was
before,
showing
but
the residents.
It was from 5 years at least 4 years before this thing actually was opened, okay? We're talking about a process that took 6 years or more. So it will be 12,000 to 17,000 square feet according to the resolution. So what happens to all that lost space? Will we lose free space for meeting rooms and for tutoring? I have several other questions. I guess another relevant question is the cost. We still don't know what the total cost is. It's never been answered. We do know that the total cost in 2003 was $8.225 million. And again, the project took 6 years. So I do have a question. Can that $3 million grant be spent on other aspects of the upgrade instead of the library, just in case? The person that drew that image, what kind of background do they have? The Croxton Collaborative out of New York created this, and they were the master, the major architects for this. They're still there. I mean, you can use the same telephone number that's on this diagram and call them, okay? Because I've done that. I have other questions, but I don't know how much time I have. Who owns the Strayer building? Does the township own the Strayer building, or does someone else own it? Is it the same ones that own all the other vacant space that's in the town center?
No, there are, I think, three owners in totality that have a mix of the property known as the town.
Okay, I have one
going forward,
question,
we'll
and that's,
you're right,
if
we'll
you
answer
could tell us how we can use the existing space better of the library, I'm sure everybody would appreciate that. Sure, they can do better. So instead of, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, please consider using the existing space better.
Thank you, Mr. Chalice.
Penny Packer. I'm like a bad penny. I keep coming back. Okay. I want to know what the advantage of going to the Burlington County Library is. We get all the resources of the library, except we can't take their books out. But we can go to the Burlington County Library. In the Willingboro Library, they cater to us, the diverse community we are. Our librarians and staff love us. My granddaughter absolutely adores Miss Tessa. We have such a great connection with them. She asks me all the time, we go into the library. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose the chance of having the choice of what I want to see in my library. Okay, as far as available, I understand you guys have to look at the money. I got to look at the money too. I understand that. But what about all the places that are available in Willingboro? I don't know how many are personally available, but what about the taxes on them? Are we collecting all the taxes? What's happening with that disaster of a mart space? Do we have the taxes on that? I don't think it's a personal opinion. I've been here the last 3 meetings, and there's only one person that voiced that they agree with moving the library and keep going to the Burlington County Library. I don't think we've advertised this enough. You should have had the phone tree. Yes, a lot of people don't have home phones, but a lot do. I get the phone calls for stupid stuff. Why can't this be made important, a good representation to Willingboro, the town people? I bet you 3/4 of them don't even know what's going on here. And I know that's true of most things that happen in a town. I get it. But you have to think of us as a community. You have to think of us as being personally involved in our library and our staff and the people that run it. I really, really wish you don't move the library, because yes, it is nicely located for me, but it's nicely located for a lot of other people too. Yes, it's close. The other one is closer to the older children. Yes, I understand that. but they don't have a problem walking. They don't have a problem riding their bikes. They get any place else they want to go. If they wanted to go to the library, they'd go. So I really ask that you don't move the library and that you don't go with the system, because I don't see the benefit. All I see is cost and bureaucracy and no choice. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any public comment online?
Yes, Mayor. Susan Hacker.
Thank you. Susan Hacker, Tallwood Lane. I'd just like to say that I think the people of Willingboro should have a chance to weigh in before any decision is made about the library. I appreciate the township surveys about signage, the Performing Arts Center, and other matters, and I believe the future of the library is at least as important. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hacker.
Okay, Maddie Mallory.
Good evening, Maddie Mallory, Hudson Place. And I have a question. I'm looking at my preliminary tax bill for the year 2025. And it says here that I'm paying $83.28 for municipal library taxes. So my question is, if we were to go to the county system, would we still pay this municipal library tax? Would it be excluded from our tax bill? And would we have to pay more? But how does that work if we were to go to the county system? And my other comment is that I'm glad that Mr. Harris made the statement that this is nothing new as far as moving the library, because I felt all the time that this was something that the council was planning. And of course, it just came to light to the taxpayers. So, you know, just thinking about all of the pros and cons of moving it to the Kennedy Center and also becoming a part of the county system, I think the taxpayers need to be informed a little more about the advantages and disadvantages and how it affects our tax, you know, taxes as far as municipal taxes, library taxes. And that's my comments for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Mallory.
Okay, Tarina Williams.
Thank you. Serena Williams, Botany Circle. Good evening, Mayor McIntosh, Deputy Mayor Anderson, Councilwoman Whitfield, Councilwoman Barone, Councilwoman Dr. Tiffany Worthy. I originally wanted to just announce that the Volunteer Center of Burlington County is asking for entries for their special Unity Celebration video project. The Unity Celebration will take place at the Burlington County Library on January 20th, 2025. And if you go to the website, Volunteer Center of Burlington County, or vcobc.org, you can get more details on submitting a 60-second video of your choice. Then when Mayor McIntosh shared with us that Congressman Andy Kim office will be moved, it drew to mind that we met at the Volunteer Center of Burlington County's annual MLK Day project on January 20th, 2020. And it was such a joy for myself and the other members of Willingboro SDA Church to meet Congressman Kim, who supported multiple projects, including the MLK Day Veterans Luncheon that we had in 2020 that Mayor Worthy, she was attended, and the following year, there's so many people to acknowledge. Mayor McIntosh, she attended and spoke with him on 2022. So I just want to really say thank you so much to Congressman Kim for your dedicated service, and you have been a joy to meet, and we greatly appreciate all the hard work that you've done, not only for our local township, but for the state of New Jersey. May everyone take the time to vote. I know I'll be voting for him. In light of the Veterans Day discussion that we've had, are listening to, while I understand that there's a protocol that has to be made, if I could suggest having an emergency vote that we can't have it on that day, it would be wonderful if we could have it on Veterans Day. A group of us participated in the Veterans Day parade on November 11th, and it was in the rain, but it was such a joy to be able to do something for our veterans that we are indebted to. I met one at church out of state, and he spoke about how he had surgery, but had no reason to understand why he was still alive. And we kept telling him how valuable he is. And by the end of church service, he, after a lot of us told him how important he is to us and to our country and the world, he finally felt good about himself. But that just goes to show how important it is that we seize every opportunity that we can get to remind our veterans how important they are, and to encourage one another to take the time to give people their roses while we still can. All of us, I'm sure all of you, of course, Dr. Worthy, as a veteran herself, know how important it is to love up our veterans while we can. So may I please encourage all, if it could be explored, having the Veterans Day parade on Veterans Day, that would be really great. I take great pride in sharing with everybody how much we love our veterans. And I greatly appreciate your time and dedicated service and support to our MLK Day Veterans Luncheon that we have annually. Thank you so much. Oh, and thank you to Mr. Townsend, who spoke at our last luncheon along with Mr. Harris. May God bless you.
Okay, Rashad Jordan.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, because I'm Rashad. I actually live in Collingswood, but I grew up in Willingboro, and my first job was at the Willingboro Public Library. I don't have too much to say since I spoke at last month's meeting, but I would like to say that you mentioned that space in the current library could be used more efficiently. And actually, I'm against changing location and joining the county system. I think there are ways we can just, if the space is not being used efficiently, we can find ways to make better use of the library without moving, since there's so much, it's a blessing to have so much space in the library to do so many activities and have so many books and other learning materials. So I just hope Willingboro can find a way to improve the library, make better use of space without moving, because we're in a great location. It's easy to access for many people. And yeah, that's what I want to say.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
Beulah Williams.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, Township Manager, Clerk, fellow Willingboro residents and everyone. Willingboro, Botany Circle, yes. we don't want to overlook, my daughter forgot, then Deputy Mayor Whitfield. She also, yes, she also participated in our honoring our veterans. So it's a fact we know that our council love our veterans. And when we always have some initiative each year that commemorates or honors our veterans. And we always have representation from the mayor, deputy mayor, a council member, or so on. So we don't want to depreciate their love for our veterans and their appreciation. What I don't understand is because this year we were looking forward to participating in the Veterans Parade, but we learned that it was being held on Sabbath, we're Seventh-day Adventists, so we didn't even bring that to the church because we were wondering, Veterans Day, I think, would have been officially on Monday, and we wanted to know why would the parade be on Sabbath anyway. I think it's, we should stick to the holiday itself. Everybody is off, and that's when we actually should have Veterans Day parade. We were looking forward to it. Of course, Tarina mentioned the veteran that he broke our hearts. I guess he got wounded in the war, and he was having surgery. And he said he didn't want to wake up. He didn't want to live. He felt unappreciated. And, we gathered around him. We were in Virginia. The Sabbath school teacher said, let's, circle him and pray. And we prayed for him. We encouraged him. And the gentleman, he was in tears. He felt appreciated. And I know we have veterans right here in Willingboro who has given their hearts, their souls, their lives for our country. And every opportunity we have to show them appreciation, we should. We understand that there are protocols to follow. And, you know the semantics, you know the rules, but putting rules aside after they have been met, a parade is a wonderful thing to show our appreciation for them. Yes, so please answer when it's time to respond. Why aren't these holidays being held on the official day instead of maybe convenience, using it on a weekend? And that would prevent us, from our church from participating. Whereas if it was on the weekday that the holiday is officially, we'd be able to participate. Thank you for listening. And I appreciate our council, every one of you, our mayor, Mayor McIntosh, Deputy Mayor, oh my heavens, Anderson. Yeah, Deputy Mayor Anderson, Councilwoman Whitfield, Councilwoman Perone, Councilwoman Dr. Worthy, our manager, even our manager participated in our veterans luncheon as well. So we appreciate all of you. And
thank you, Ms. Williams. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
So God bless all of you and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
You're welcome.
I'm Kay Fairchild, Tiffany Lane. Everyone's talking about veterans. I just want to say this real quick before I get to the library issue. I'm a friend of the library, but Don Shawless, the guy with the sign, he's a veteran, and he does a lot of work on behalf of veterans. He used to live in Willingboro. And that Steve Silverstein sometimes and Don, they do that veterans part in Mill Creek Park. Sometimes they tend to that park. Just to, a little shout out to Steve and Don for that. But anyway, I wanted to say something about the library regarding the ad hoc committee. I was hoping that by now we might have met and we would have a little better sense of, what our actual role was and what the expectation was. I mean, know what an ad hoc committee is, but because we haven't met and talked to the liaison, I kind of thought that it seems to me like to move forward with a decision, it seems like, you know, that was something that would have preceded a decision today. But maybe, you know, maybe I'm not understanding that correctly. The other thing is that when it comes to space in the library, if you look at trends in library design, they're big. They're kind of this, they're beautiful. A lot of times they have wide space for, you know, for people to do numerous things. And I was thinking, I've been looking at like the future of libraries, and you can look at some of the new ones. There's like one in Helsinki. There's a new one. I used to live in Las Vegas. There's one in West Las Vegas, which is the historically Black community. And what's interesting about that one, it'll be up in a few months, I think. It's doubling its size. That's what it's doing, so that it can maintain, you know, the cultural heritage of that community. And, you know, when people were using the Green Book, that's the part of Las Vegas they used to go. So it's, I wouldn't say it's similar, but it is one that seeks to preserve its cultural heritage. And it's a large library. So the idea of space being utilized in a library, I think that was designed to be kind of open. It doesn't mean that, you know, you can't put more things in there at all. But the other thing is, I hear and I've heard something more than once about the library not performing up to par or something like that. And if that's the case, it seems like it would be a better decision to give it that opportunity. You know, if that has some, you know, if that somehow prompted I think I heard that as much today, that prompted the desire or the thought about doing that, even though I know it's always been kind of you know, discussion point about moving to the Burlington County Library System. But it sounded like it was prompted by a particular thing. I think you mentioned HVAC system problem, something like that. And maybe and about the traffic to the library, about numbers of people using it. Anyway, those are the kinds of things that can be enhanced with, you know, real thoughtful and dedicated planning, I believe. So, and I didn't hear for certain about the issue of the legality or, you know, something to that. In fact, I didn't hear whether or not that was requiring a referendum. I mean, you know, an actual. Mhm.
Thank you, Ms. Fairchild. All right, seeing no more public comment.
Mayor,
Okay.
Mayor, we do have Shirley Dilworth.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, and thank you. I'm glad you didn't omit me this time. Shirley Dilworth, Newport Lane. I have a few things that I'm concerned about. I've noticed that trash bags are being deposited around the trash container at Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School. I did report this to the Acton Department of Public Works. The bags have not been picked up. I just reported it by email yesterday, but I noticed today additional bags have been, you know, deposited in front of the school. It's very concerning to me because I'm just afraid that other people are going to start doing the same thing. So, Mr. Harris, if there's anything that you could do to, you know, to make that happen, I really would appreciate that. The other thing that I've noticed is, has the township returned to manual trash pickup? I noticed, I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago on my street, that trash was picked up, you know, the old-fashioned way where you had two men on the back of the truck getting off, picking up trash. So I'm just, you know, raising a question about that. And the idea of hiring an in-house engineer, okay, it sounds like a good idea to me. As a matter of fact, it sounds like this would have been a good approach even before starting the Performing Arts Center. Because I've noticed a lot of projects are taking place, in the township. And it may be a good way, you know, to manage money and not be wasteful with taxpayers' money, if we do have an in-house engineer. That's all that I have for tonight. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Dilworth. IT, is there anyone else for public comment online?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Thank you. Public comment is now closed. We'll start with Ms. Turner about the parade being canceled. No one from the council, well, no one, I did not cancel the parade. That was an email that I saw that Councilwoman canceled the parade. All I did was say we're going to discuss it at the last council meeting, but I said nothing about it being canceled. That was not my decision. That was not where I was trying to go with it. So I don't, there's still time to go with it now?
The only thing, the issue is that shutting the street down has to be approved by the county. So we would need at least a couple of weeks to do that. After speaking with staff, Captain Bucks, he did say they could try to expedite it in a week. It hasn't been advertised as it was supposed to be earlier in September. So at this point, letters had to have gone out. I would have hoped that at least at our last council meeting, October 1st, that it was on the agenda. But Madam Mayor, maybe you thought you put it on the agenda, but you can go back and see that the parade discussion was not on the agenda. The only thing that was on the agenda was the SOP and then the other resolutions. So at this time, yeah, I had to cancel the float, everything, because people didn't get their deposits for the food. There was going to be catering. We were going to have a live jazz music. So at this time, it's canceled for this year. Perhaps next year, you know, that's all I have to say about that. Yeah.
Okay. And just for clarification, I think it was removed mistakenly, but I did indicate I mean, it was, if you look on it, there's a number. I think it was removed mistakenly. However, I had told you that day, you know, we will definitely talk about it.
Right.
So just for clarification.
I mean, if we would have gotten an email after the council meeting, like at least the next day, Mr. Harris, go ahead, move forward. We didn't even get that. I didn't cancel it the next day. I didn't cancel it on the 2nd. I didn't send out letters until the next week, the beginning of the next week, because I was like waiting to hear back. Mr. Harris already had everything in his hands, print the flyers, advertise it, get meeting with the staff, the department to shut the streets down. He didn't move because you told him not to. You were on that email, and so was the rest of the committee. So to say you didn't say it, you also didn't say, no, Mr. Harris, you're confused. I am for the parade. Please proceed.
Okay, but remember, what I'm saying is that it still had to come before council. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And I mean, we're going to disagree on that.
We
but
are.
Okay, and that's fine,
Yeah,
but
because
I didn't cancel it. And we were going to discuss that on that last council meeting. It got adjourned for obvious reasons, but that's, you know, it was definitely for discussion. And I told you came to see me that day, and I said, we will definitely discuss it. I even indicated to you that I don't think anybody's against it. I told you that day that we would discuss it. So, I mean,
Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda. Again, chapter 16.
but I mean, you could have brought it up without being on the agenda. I
Um,
mean, for new business.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. It was held up. It was, Mr. Harris received a direction from you. You were on the email, and he just waited until he got direction from us. Again, chapter 16 speaks to the process. Nowhere does it say council votes on it. And you appointed the people to the committee. That's the part of the oxymoron piece. You appointed the people to the parade to put on a parade. That's what they did. You gave them money to do it, and then they did it, and then you stopped. at the time when it's time to advertise, and that was in September. They didn't start planning in September. They started planning when you appoint them to that committee, and that was wrong. So I don't want to, again, we're going to, like you said, we're just going to have to disagree with that one. The facts are Chapter 16. It's on our website, ladies and gentlemen. Pull it up, Chapter 16, our codes for committees and boards, and you will see nowhere does it say council votes on putting on the parade. What we do vote on is appointing the people to the committee. We don't dictate every aspect of what they're doing. You trust that they are adults and they're going to move forward and put on the event. They did. You blocked them. Told Mr. Harris not to move forward until the council met. It wasn't on the agenda of October 1st. Ladies and gentlemen, you can look that up on yourself. The agendas are advertised. Nothing about the parade was up there. I did call Madam Mayor, text her, asking her, hey, why did you tell Mr. Harris to stop? We need to, she ignored my calls. She did not respond to my texts. She was on the email, CC'd with Mr. Harris. She did not respond there. The committee was on the emails. So please don't try to backpedal now and say, no, we're for it. I don't know what you mean.
Oh, there
Yeah,
will never be a backpedal. I tell you straight up
You were,
what my intention was.
Okay.
I did call you the next morning to say, hey, we will meet up. But what I'm not going to do is play in your mess.
okay.
And that's what I'm not going to do.
Can we just move to another
But
topic?
speaking of Marcus King, brought up the cheerleaders and rec. Can y'all please have a discussion, just to meet a discussion even with a council member, the rec and the township manager, just to sort that out. We do want to support our cheerleaders, but maybe we don't have the full story on what the issue may be, but I would like to see that conversation happen.
So we can have that conversation. There are cheerleaders that we have programs for in Willingboro. And there were also cheerleaders that I believe that were part of the Panthers organization who kind of split and went their own way and wanted to then utilize space in the JFK Center, but the JFK Center didn't have any open time slots to facilitate their usage. And that became the issue. It's not a desire of not wanting to, but they came to the table when there really was no more open space to fit them in. So, but we can further have those conversations, as we roll into 2025 to see what accommodations can be made.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
Also, Mr. Harris, even if we don't have the space accommodations for the competition team, is there a way that we can connect them with other venues in town, such as some of the schools or the other churches that have large auditoriums, things like that, so that they may be able to get space in that way?
Yeah, if there are any organizations that, that would open their doors to those, types of activities, I don't know off the top of my head who they would be. We are not having very one Willingboro-ish conversations with the school board at this time. But we're still trying to work those things out.
Okay. Okay, and then, okay, 1 second.
no, I'm sorry.
Okay, but let's just see what we can do. But we do have to be mindful of, we can't control when teams are splitting, and accommodating. But I don't know the background. That's what I'm saying. There'll be a conversation. But, I know that happens. That happens quite often in organizations. And then picking which one we want to go with, it gets a little dicey, but definitely have that, we would definitely have that conversation. Yeah. And I'm sorry, Councilwoman Perone.
No, I just wanted to, I remember Ms. Williams, both of the Williams had asked about, this is about the parades. I just wanted to speak to that one part about why was it on Saturday?
Okay.
You want me to answer that now?
Yeah, when we get to it. I didn't get to them yet.
Okay.
Okay, and we got 5 minutes, so
I know.
we'll get there.
Okay.
Okay. We'll probably have to do a motion. Can I make a motion to extend the meeting till 10:30?
So
Second.
moved. Oh, yes.
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Whitfield. So that'll happen, okay. We have Miss Susan Hacker, her concern is making sure the voice of the residents is heard for the library input. Right. And I think that's an important thing. We want to also, I know, I'm trying to look at my notes to see who said what. I want to, Ms. Fairchild had brought up the ad hoc committee and the library board. The council could, some of the onus is on the library board that could have had the function also. These conversations were had. And I believe, if anything, they could have also been instrumental in, hosting these events that we're bringing up now. Also with the ad hoc committee, I thought that the scheduling would happen on their end and not on our liaisons, and I didn't think that was your responsibility. Yeah, go ahead.
I got the emails on Thursday, the email addresses. I requested the email addresses from the committee. And I got those. I coordinated with Mr. Fall. I sent a note today just to let you all know we will schedule, but I just got all of the email addresses for the people on the ad hoc committee Thursday afternoon. So we are working on our end to pull together some dates so that we can check our availability, and then we'll send that out to the committee so that we can see what their availability is and then begin meeting.
And then just staying in line with Ms. Fairchild, she said she heard, some of the performance of the library was not up to par, and that was the impetus for the conversations about going to the BCLS, or even, some people are tying into moving the library. I am aware that our liaison did have these conversations, I want to say since 2020. As she became liaison, she did go to the library quite often and was very active in the initial conversations. So the conversation is not saying the library is terrible. We're just saying that there was some room for improvement. And I think it was indicated plenty of times over the years since, correct me if I'm mistaken, 2020. So that we're in 2024 going into 2025, that's a lot of time. And obviously there was changes made to the board over those years. But that conversation about improving the performance is not new. That's correct. Okay. Ms. Mallory, can you explain the library tax that's issued on our tax bill now?
Yeah, so that is the formula that any municipality that has a library that's used to calculate the library tax portion in support of the library. That particular dollar amount that you pay, which is dedicated to the library, that money just comes back into the municipality, which is part of our contribution to our over $1 million contribution in support of the library. If you were to transition to the county board, then that particular portion would be directed to the county as part of the municipality's library support contributions.
Okay. Yeah, so I know that question comes up quite a bit. As people are looking at their tax bills, they're seeing that definite tax. Do we have any idea as to whether that number would go up or down if we were to go into the county system?
I believe the portion that they see on their tax bill would probably come down based on whatever the county's calculations are for the taxes.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Yeah. So just based on the calculation, the amount would go down, but if Willingboro wanted to have more amenities, or if there's something they wanted to do different above and beyond what our required amount to pay would cover, then we could, of course, contribute more. But just based on the funding formula, it would come down. But it would be a discussion with, with the community and with the leadership about what additional things we may want to add that would not be included. But the formula itself, it would show that the numbers would come down.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Worthy. Mr. Chalice did come back up with the diagram of the library. He wanted to know who owns Strayer. Some concerns off the lost meeting space. And still, we didn't, do we have a total cost? I know you said we don't have a total cost yet in the previous conversation, but do we have a total cost of moving the library?
We do not have a total cost of of moving the library.
Okay. And Strayer, for the record, is not owned by Willingboro.
Strayer is not owned by Willingboro, and I was listening to what Mr. Shawless was saying, and I've heard other commentary about the library. And it's a little confusing because the township actually purchased that property from the developer. So when you talk about $8.6 million to build the library, again, these are history that I'm not really familiar with because it's just not lining up with what I know as far as that particular building is involved. As a matter of fact, we're currently having a conversation with the owner of that whole complex, because when they built that unit, a lot of their utilities were intertwined. And, their water systems are in the library, and some of the library's electricity is funneled into the Strayer building. So now we're beginning to have a conversation with PSC&G on how we can separate the utilities so their utilities are their utilities and the township's utilities are our utilities. So it was the construction of that building was very mixed and intermingled. And again, our deeds show that we purchased the library from the developers.
And there's still some concerns about moving the library to a smaller footprint. However, we are using architects. We are hiring architects to frame that out. The meeting space doesn't necessarily have to be in a library, since the whole Kennedy Center is half the Kennedy Center is being renovated. There's opportunities for meeting space.
Absolutely.
To be included outside of the library, but in the same building.
Correct.
Okay. Also, as we're still looking, possibly to move the library, that will be a conversation that we would involve the ad hoc committee in, or the library board, somebody, into making sure we have the particulars and, we're accommodating every aspect that's of concern. Ms. Rose she still wanted to understand the advantage to belonging to the Burlington County Library System. Some of the advantages was, as stated before, was better, not better access, but more resources that the library does offer. I mean, and just for context, we do have about 4,000 residents that do pay the extra $50 to utilize the library, just out of context. And Ms. Rose also indicated that, everyone here, she's only heard one person said they're for the library. And quite honestly, I get emails and phone calls about both. Like I said, for me, it's about 50-50. Some people are okay going to the library, the Burlington County Library System. Some people are definitely against it. And it's the same with the moving the library over to the JFK Center. I do get a lot of positive feedback for that. Doesn't mean they show up for a council meeting, but when people see me, they are for it, and obviously, many people against it also. Let me see. I will move to Tarina Williams. Councilwoman Perron, I'll let you address the reason for moving the parade
Yes.
that day.
Okay, real quick. So I had conversations with the military back in 2022. I really wanted to invite some of our troops to actually march in our parade, our Marines, Army, and they were willing to come. However, if we had the parade, this is what they explained to me. If we hold a parade on Veterans Day, the troops are already they're being sent out to New York City, because New York City has a huge Veterans Day parade. So they said that they would have troops to be able to participate in our parade, which they were coming this year, if we did it on a Saturday. So that's why we were trying to do it we reserved Saturday. It didn't have anything to do with religion. It was just, that was why, just to get more participation and presidents of our current troops and in uniform. And I think that the children, you know, the families would have loved it. But that's why. That's the only reason why.
Thank you, Councilman Perone. For Ms. Dilworth, she said there's bags, trash bags at the MLK Junior Elementary School. Just for clarification, are we responsible for the grounds of the schools?
We are not, those are school properties, so they're responsible for cleaning and maintaining their properties. If it's like on the sidewalk, then that would be our responsibility. So I don't know where the bags are, but it would be the school's responsibility to maintain their property.
And if a resident, since Ms. Dilworth did call DPW concerning those, can someone reach out to the schools to make sure, or, you know, to let them know that that needs to be picked up? If it's not, you know, on our grounds, just forward the message to our school if our resident calls in.
I will, Mayor.
Thank you. Also, Ms. Dilworth did indicate that she witnessed, you know, manual trash pickup. I did too, so I was wondering about that also. I know we still do the dumping. I don't know if there's extra manpower that they're putting on our streets.
So our trash is still collected by Republic, and sometimes they have issues with their trucks and equipment and have to revert back to old school to get the job done. And you got to do what you got to do.
So, but we're still in the same, this is not a
Right, it's not a
forever
transition
solution.
back, right.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody want to add anything else from public comment? Okay. Mr. Fault, you can do resolution 2024-240. Yes. We just have a discussion, see what we want to do.
Is his mic on? Yeah, your microphone.
Microphone. Yep.
Sorry.
Resolution authorizing township to take all steps necessary to apply to Burlington County Library Commission for the Willingboro Public Library to join the Burlington County Library System. Can I get a motion in a second?
So move.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Further discussion, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am not in favor of this combining Willingboro Township with the county. After communication with the county and some of the commissioners, this is not a good move for us. So I'm not comfortable with that decision. So for me, it's going to be a no.
Good. Thank you, Councilwoman Perone. Anyone else? Oh.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to, I guess, honor the request of some of the ad hoc members and other folks asking for proposal, especially with the creation of the ad hoc committee. I'd like to offer a chance for things to move forward.
Okay. Anyone else? I'm ready to vote on it today. But if anybody else has if anybody wants to do that, wait for the ad hoc or.
I can vote on it today, but.
I'm not privy to whatever conversation or information Councilwoman Perone is referencing, but I did request information from the county and have not gotten it back yet. So I would be open to just waiting to hear back from the county, from the special, the ad hoc committee, and making a decision at a later point. But I don't know if it'll be, I'm not sure if I can commit to March. I'm really just looking to see I just wanted the information back. I don't have all the information back yet from the county.
I would support waiting to hear back from the ad hoc committee, giving them opportunities to get some information from the county as well. So I don't see the need to rush. I'm not sure what's happening this year while we have to vote on this right now.
No, I'm saying I mean, some people want to vote down or, you know, just to revisit it later, but if
we vote it down now, Mayor, we still would be able to revisit it once we have the information, as long as, I just want to be clear that I would want to be able to revisit it. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm prepared to vote.
Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone?
No.
Councilwoman Whitfield?
No.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy?
No.
Deputy Mayor Anderson?
No.
Mayor McIntosh.
No. All right. Resolution
241.
2024-241.
Resolution 2024-241, resolution supporting relocation of Willingboro Public Library to the Kennedy Center at 429 John F. Kennedy Way.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Discussion. Go ahead.
So this idea of moving, I'm not in favor. Most importantly, because again, it's already a standing library. We all agree we want to have a library. So again, I know I mentioned earlier at our last council meeting, just kind of giving it a little bit of a facelift. But with that said, the gentleman who brought up the map of the floor plan and speaking about space, I want to bring it to our attention, if maybe we haven't really thought about this, but having space in the library creates solidarity. So you're reading in a mental focus. So moving it to the JFK Center is chaotic there. There's cheerleaders, there's everything happening there. And it's not a place of finding that reading spot. Remember when we were kids, we'd go to the library and the librarian would say, shh, we're in the library. It should be a standalone place where it is, where trees are, where you can sit and read and focus on whatever you're reading about and using your imagination. Just imagine trying to use your imagination at the Cherry Hill Mall, okay? And you're trying to read. Chaotic. So we're looking to move to the JFK Center at a smaller space. So now you're gonna have all the books on top of the people on top of the other people. And I just think it's a bad idea. And I think it should be in a place that has space, which is what it has now. We all know we've been in that space, and it's spacious because it's a library, and it should be. So I'm not in favor of moving it to the JFK Center at all.
Okay. Anyone else for discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, imagination, the key word. Just being able to reimagine what the library could be, what it could look like. And I think what's a little concerning throughout the conversations is the confirmation bias that's out there, not being able to take a moment to imagine what the possibilities could be. Imagine what it could look like. Imagine we have engineering equipment with sound barriers so that you don't have to hear like you're in the middle of Cherry Hill Mall. Imagine what the future of Willingboro is looking like and what the children of Willingboro would want to see going forward. There are lots of opportunities if we just imagine those things. And I don't mean just making it up and having a wish. I mean working collaboratively with residents, with a team, with consultants, with professionals. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just randomly throwing ideas up and hoping something sticks. And I think the concern in the conversation is the cognitive bias where people are just looking to make sure that this is my idea of what a library is. So this is what it is, and it has to be this. And if it's not that, then it's not a library, and what are we doing and why are we here? And that's challenging as leaders of the community, as being responsible for being visionaries to be able to anticipate what's to come for our community. It is challenging to make some of the decisions and to be faced with some of the decisions, but it's the job of the leaders to be able to look many, many years ahead to figure out what may work for the town. When the decision was made back in around 2000 to bring the library over to the town center. It was before my time. I was not here, but I've had many, many phone calls and visits from residents who said they were adamant against moving the library to that part of town. They did not want it there. It was the outskirts of town. They thought it was isolated. Children couldn't get there on their bicycles. The conversations went on, unsolicited conversations from people in the community as I'm trying to go and get my Monday cheap chicken deal at Acme. So it's a lot of conversations, about this and a lot of passion. And I would just say, whatever the final decision is, I would just challenge us to reimagine. We're not saying we're going to copy and paste the library. That's not what we're saying. We're saying consider what it can be with the technological advances, with everyone not having to sit at one big clunky computer. People have their own devices, they have their own gadgets. And so the library, the use of the library looks different now than when they were making the plans in 1996 and 1997 for this 42,000 square foot massive space. It was different. And so I'm just asking for that consideration. With all that being said, Madam Mayor, for this one, I am looking to have more collaborative conversations with the ad hoc committee. I'm excited that the library has put that step forward. And so I'm prepared to either table it or, vote it down and revisit, either way.
Yeah, I also agree that the library has taken some steps to be a part of the process, to join the conversation, and to really help chart the path forward for what a library looks like in Willingboro. I stand with Councilwoman Worthy in challenging not just the library, but the residents on thinking what our library could look like in, 15 years, 10 years? What are going to be the needs of people with all of those technological advances? Instead of little study pods, do we have, bicycle powered, you power your device on your bike and you work there in some type of way? Do we have, you know, uh, hologram machines? I don't know what, what's to come in the future, but there are things that we can do. And even in just some of my early research, there are ways that we can condense those books down. There are ways that we can get stacks that rotate so that you don't need as much space and you can still keep the same amount of books. And I think those are some of the things that we're looking to do. In technological advancement, not just cut down on size, but really make an effective use of space in our township, as we do have space is a limited resource here.
Totally agree. That, you good? Okay, so, I would say we can table it, and keep the updates going, with the ad hoc committee, and just continue that discussion for that. So we have to pull back our motions and seconds.
Yep, and then make the motion to
To
table it
table,
to a
yep.
specific date.
All right.
Okay, I withdraw my motion.
Can you table it to another year? I didn't think you
It's no
could.
change in the
Is
governing
it,
body.
is it,
Well, are you looking to table it into 2025 or are you looking to table it into December?
I don't believe we're going to have enough time to
Right.
have a conclusive update in December. I would recommend tabling it probably until like the first or second meeting in February, but there's no change in the governing body.
Right.
There's nobody being
Coming on.
sworn in, nobody coming on.
that makes sense.
Okay. You can also readdress it at reorganization, but tentatively table it until one of your meeting dates in the new year.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. So move, so we're going to vote to withdraw the other?
Yeah,
Oh, I already
you
pulled
did-
my,
you
I already
pulled
did it.
yours.
Okay.
Who did the motion?
That was, I think,
Nat
was
did
the
the motion.
second or the second.
I rescind my second.
You rescind your motion.
Wasn't there a second?
Okay. All right, I make a motion to table, resolution 20, I should know this by heart, right?
2024
2024
41.
241 until, I'll say our first meeting, reorg or second meeting in January. Second meeting in January.
Second.
All right. Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Councilwoman Perone. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh?
Yes. Okay, moving on to council comments. We have 5 minutes. Any quick council?
Just want to thank everyone for coming out, and happy birthday to Kevin Gaines, who already started drinking without me.
Hey, just told all his business. Councilwoman Worthy.
Yes, just want to say thank you to the community for the participative dialogue and a reminder that mail-in ballots are out, and a reminder also to exercise your right to vote. Early voting starts soon, and you can vote right at our currently located Willingboro Public Library.
Perfect, yeah. Councilwoman.
I just wanted to put out there the special planning board meeting that'll be happening on November 12th, talking about the master plan. And also, due to the untimely passing of one of our dear members of the planning board, Sharon Anderson, we do have an opening on the planning board. So anyone interested, please put in your citizen leadership forms. Engineers, environmentalists, contractors, construction workers, planners, anyone like that would be very helpful on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Whitfield.
I'll just wish everyone a good evening and thank you for your input on tonight's meeting.
All right, thank you. It is 10:25. Have a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
10:21.
Yes.